So, I'm going to try to get myself in a better mood here today, but I first and foremost want to thank everybody for coming aboard here. Please hit the like button. And super chats go to the top. But hopefully by the end of the program, I get myself in a better mood. But first and foremost, I want to make a comment here about a passing of a friend of mine. His name was Billy Ray Smith. Passed away at the age of 64. And he passed away due to dementia brought on by CTE. One day our goddamn union will fucking ever get it right to protect the players who came before these guys who are making all this money and protect guys like Billy Ray so that guys like Billy Ray know who they are when they die. But our union's the weakest union on the planet. By the way, I know for a fact if Billy Ray were to hear today, he would tell you he would do it all over again. And as I would. But at least you could have told us the truth about things that were going on behind the scenes. Instead of just giving us Percocets and Percodans every time we got a stinger, nowadays they keep you out 4 games, that they could have at least protected the players more. Every time I hear that bullshit that they're always in the front of the NFL when it comes to player safety, don't ever believe that. My friend Billy Ray had to wear a diaper at the end. He was a guy who didn't know where he was at the end, and it was brought on by CTE. He's a very proud man. Truly a phenomenal football player. 10 years plus played with the Chargers. 2-time All-American consensus at Arkansas. Didn't know who he was, or didn't know who his daughter Savannah was. I mean, one day the NFL will get their head out of their ass and stop lying to all you people. And people in here keep telling you all the time, don't ever believe those people and what they tell you about player safety. If they can't tell the truth about player safety, how in God's name can they tell the truth about just the seamless little things? Like a Jonathan Greenard injury, something like, how can you believe that when they hide guys who put guns in their mouth, who killed themselves, and who die not knowing who they are? How in God's name do you not know that? But you'll believe anything because you're fans of the game. And I'm not trying to dismiss that. But don't ever tell me the National Football League has the players' best health at number one risk, and when it comes to making sure those players are not at high risk. The commissioner of the National Football League is not an owner. He makes more money than any guy in the league. He's got lifetime benefits for he and his family. Players don't. So when that guy falls on the sword for 32 sharks, by the way, not every guy's an asshole that's an owner. I got a great email this morning from John Spanos, the son of Dean. And I had a great conversation. I posted some of the comments we made about the passing of Billy Ray Smith. So hopefully we'll get in a good mood. I mean, and I'll say it again. If Billy Ray were here, he would do it again. I know the man. He would have done it again. Knew him well, worked with him. He was a workmate of mine at 1090. Did numerous events together. I posted a whole bunch of pictures of us. Truly a legend. And most important, one of the nicest men you'll ever meet in your life. Just truly a great guy. I don't think that guy had a bad bone in his body. And you know what was funny? Maybe not so funny. His father died of the same thing. His dad played 14 years in the NFL. So it was a family business. And we would all do it again. But we just wish the league was honest. Hey, remember back in the day when they used to sell those videos? The NFL's biggest hits? That thing is outlawed today. You can't do that. Most of those plays were concussion plays. So rest in peace, my friend. My wife and I knew him well, worked with him for a while, and truly one of the greatest guys I've met and one of the best people that you can ever be around. Truly a great guy. Billy Ray Smith, 64 years old or 64 years young. Unbelievable. It's affected me because he was somebody close to us. All right. So, I want to start this thing off with something that was said yesterday by Jalen Hurts. Oh, good, my friend. We would all do it again. And Suave, thank you, my friend. We would all do it again. You can't take the love of the game away from players. That'll never happen. You love the game, dude. You just love it. It's part of your life. Football. Hey, it's great to cash checks and kiss cheerleaders, but you got to have a love for the game. You just got to love the game. I mean, dude, you put pieces of your body all over the country. That's not about cash and paychecks. You love what you do. You get up off your ass, you go work out. The game takes a lot from you. Okay? And it's part of it. It is. The dangers of the sport. All right, so let's move on from that. And let's get into something that Jalen Hurts said yesterday. And I want to get your opinion. By the way, Armando Salguero will join us. Outkick, Hall of Fame voter. He will join us at 4:30. Big Z will join us at 3:30. So let me start the show off by this. So yesterday, what was the comment that Jalen Hurts made about A.J. Brown? 100% alignment, 0% entitlement. What do you guys make of that line by the quarterback yesterday? I love how everyone is celebrating that bullshit. You tell me, what do you make of that? What do you make of that? 100% alignment, 0% entitlement. It's a clear shot at A.J. Brown. Oh, it is. It is. It's a clear shot at A.J. because A.J. felt entitled to the throws. Again, yes, A.J.'s the entitlement. There's no more entitlement on the team now that he's gone. Now it's alignment. It's everybody being in line together. Actually, that's a good way to make sure that it's landing right. A.J. was the entitlement. There's none of that on the team anymore. Everyone's in alignment now. That's a shot at A.J. Brown. What do you make of that? I'll give you my spin in a second here. You tell me. Back to your regular programming. No. Well, wait a second. He fucking said it yesterday, guy. Starting to feel more like Jalen was the issue because he couldn't handle the criticism from a teammate. Okay? Hurts owned him. Nothing. Get this. I hear a leader speaking up for his team without worrying about the feelings of another grown man on the team. I'm going to leave that right there. So wait a minute. You think leadership is a year later instead of in the moment? That's bullshit. You're a leader in the moment, not after the fact. If you had a problem with A.J. Brown, you should have rectified it then, not a year later when he's gone. If you had a problem in your locker room, guy, you should have went to your freaking coach. And you should have went to them and you should have went and said something to the player. Or you should have suspended his ass and sat his ass down. That's on the coach and the quarterback. After the fact, you say that? That's not leadership. That's not leadership at all. That's after the fact leadership. That's Monday morning quarterbacking. Hey, guess what? Now that he's gone, we're all in line. Why didn't you say that last year? Why didn't the coach say something last year about that? If that's how people felt in the locker room, you couldn't express that? You got a problem with leadership if you can't address it in the moment. Bullshit. That's a bullshit comment. Leaders lead at the moment of crisis, not after the fact. Give me a break. You talk about after the fact? Hey, dude, when the boat is going down and people need to be saved, I don't want you to tell me what you could have done after everyone's dead. I want you to tell me what we should have done in the moment to save people. Bullshit. Who is a leader after the fact? Where's your head coach? If people really felt that, and they're in the locker room and they felt that, that's on the quarterback and the head coach. Plain and simple. And see this here? I will never go to this asshole again because he says nothing that anybody on a football team would listen to. He is a glazed donut Eagle fan. End of story. His days are done. This is what happens when you have a head coach who has no balls. Sills, why didn't a local reporter follow that up with, why was it that way Bob? Sills, why didn't a local reporter follow that up with, why wasn't it that way every year? Where was Johnny Mack? That's just Johnny Mack. Somebody should have asked Jalen, why didn't you say it last year? Why did somebody say that in the moment? So you're telling me Jalen comes out with a prepared statement and then says zero entitlement and 100% alignment now. And you guys didn't have the balls to address that last year? Wow. Wow. I'm with you when you're right, Sills, but this is okay. Wait a minute. So wait a minute. Get this. They all had plenty of conversations with AJ last year. They don't owe the media to air out. Oh, so wait a minute. You owe it after the fact then? If you're telling me that they had numerous conversations last year, that's why you had to prepare. Bullshit. Bullshit. Should have just moved on and said nothing. If you said nothing to the media last year, you should have said nothing to the media starting camp. Sills, what makes you think he didn't say that to the team privately? Why should he have to handle that through the media? He shouldn't. He should have said nothing yesterday about it. Oh, I see. Guy wants his cake and eat it. Sills is okay with AJ throwing Jalen. No. By the way, a wide receiver is not the leader of your team. And if he is, that's a problem. That's a problem. There's no NFL football in the NFL today where the quarterback is not the number one voice in your huddle. What team is that? What team is that? That the wide receiver has more of a voice than the quarterback? Name me one. Where? Cincinnati? Where? I don't understand what's the big. I'm questioning leadership. Okay? Get this. Sills lives negatively, bro. Bro, if you don't see what the quarterback said yesterday in a press conference as a lack of leadership in the moment, I don't give a fuck what you think. Honestly, Dan, AJ's situation is worse than T.O.'s. At least T.O. would bust his ass for the team while injured. AJ gives up on plays and throws teammates under the bus. Correct. Hey, K-Gun, one question for you. How come nobody's thrown AJ under the bus? Except for Hurts. Hurts is the only player that's thrown him out and thrown him under the bus. No one else has. A.J. Brown is too sensitive, so it was best to address it when he's gone, because think about it. Some of these players are not built like the old school players. Maurice, when you're a leader, your emotions have no play in the locker room. I don't give a... Bro, you got to manage people inside of the structure of how you want your football team to excel on everyday basis. You come off the rails like that for one player, that is the entitlement. Nick came off the reservation for one player to appease that player. JD, I really don't give a shit about your opinion on this. Well, I do. I'll take that back. I apologize. I'm one of the biggest Jalen critics there is when it comes to his play. But to question his leadership is crazy in my opinion. So, JD, you think addressing A.J. Brown after the fact is good leadership? Yes or no? He didn't say anything a year ago. You think after the fact, and what was the statement? 100% alignment, 0% entitlement. You think that was necessary to open up a press conference and open up with a statement? A statement for what? I didn't ask you that. I asked you, do you think that's good leadership? Addressing A.J. Brown after he's been gone for 3 months. It is. Honestly, yeah. So get this. After a guy has a problem with somebody, he vents his bullshit after. Okay. That's not how a locker room works. I think it's Sirianni lost control of the locker room. That's the real reason Mannion is here, perception. So, Kim, get this. You got Jalenites in here, and you've got people defending Nick in here that think this is a good thing. That last year, when you had all these people saying that the player quit, why didn't you bench him? If you think the player quit and was doing drops on purpose, why didn't you bench him? If you guys like Prince and let's see here, and Emre say that the guy was dropping passes on purpose, why didn't you bench him? Why didn't you bench him? Why didn't you bench him? If you think he quit and he was bad for the team, why didn't you bench him? Oh, so if you pay them, you're obligated to make sure you keep that distraction on the field. Thank God that doesn't work for Vic Fangio. Vic was never going to play an $18 million a year guy in Bryce Huff. He'd rather play the rookies. Vic doesn't look at paychecks. Vic looks at who's going to contribute. Hey, Sills, it's cowardly to talk about someone when he has departed. Fingers get pointed when friends can't deal with adversity, hence all the drama. Hey, Daff, think about, like I said, you got people in here defending after the fact. You know what? You should, in my opinion, Jalen should have just picked up the 2026 season and started anew without even addressing that bullshit. I think that's bullshit. Player's not here. He's going to have no impact on your football team. But you felt it in your best interest to explain last year's issues and why the football team failed. And what he did was he basically blamed 25 on A.J. Brown and why the offense didn't excel. He blamed A.J. And the player's not here. What's the point? Think about that, Hollywood. We have now zero alignment. We have 100% alignment and 0% entitlement on our football team now. Who's he talking about? Goddamn right, bro. I bet you do think that. Because, again, you're a Jalenite. Perfect. What a simp. I believe that Jalen said was in the realm of what he was always, on what he always says when he talks about everyone, being on the same page and togetherness. Yeah, hey, get this. This guy could never play on a team. Ever. Last year during the locker cleanout, Jalen said he and AJ are in a great place yet. Yesterday, he throws him under the bus. Think about that, everyone. Exactly. They're in a good place. He singled him out. Get this. Bro, I'm not spinning anything. If you read it different, who was he talking about when he said entitlement? All right, dude. Hey, Preston, when he was talking about entitlement, who was he talking about? Who was he talking about? Well, you better care because that's going to play a factor this year, leadership. You should always care about your quarterback's leadership. Seals, I believe he did that because AJ was glossing of Drake May and the comments he made. It was tat for tat. But what's the end game to that, Danelle? Danelle, what's the end game? You expect that from that guy. Look at his NFL profile. You sound like the stud lesbian Joe over on IP. So wait a minute. If you read that comment differently, that's on you. That's on you, guy. Hurts was talking about one guy, and he blamed the 25-year in the passing game on one guy, A.J. Brown. And quite frankly, here's what you get here. Unlike all those other shows where they're going to walk around on their knees, like they did in this Carter signing? Everyone changes their freaking position now? When everyone was glossing over the Eagles, and I think the Eagles were going to do it right, but I would have waited. And I get, of course you would. What do you mean, of course I would have? Because I said it all offseason. They should square. No. They should just move on. Sills, if Hurts made that comment, I hope he goes out there and has a great season to back it up, because that shit will come back to bite him, as in if he doesn't. Oh, no. Hey, listen, both guys, A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts, we're going to have a segment. Who had the better week? Who had the better week? I do have a higher standard for character maturity for the quarterback than any other position, and I'm fine with that. But what Hurts said is fucking fine. Okay, no problem. Like I said. So he says it yesterday that there was entitlement on the program and in the locker room, and no one addressed it. And if they did address it, it was poorly addressed. Do you not agree, Curtis? Let's just say this. Curtis. With the 100% alignment and 0% entitlement. Let's say this. If they did address it, how do you think they addressed it a year ago? There's no more excuses. KP. Now it's AJ. Injuries in the O-line. My God almighty. You're like a windmill of excuses. What if there's a problem with the offense this year? What will he do or say? Nothing. He takes no accountability, but all the glory. He's the one with the power to change the offense, but never does. Matthew, I'm going to give you a microcosm of last year. Why didn't he change the play at the line of scrimmage? If you can't change the play at the line of scrimmage, how are you going to address a guy who's entitled? How are you going to do that? They tried to please AJ. Why? Why did you try to please AJ? You pleased him when you gave him $32 million. What's more important? Giving the player $32 Hang on, Brandon. So, Sills, what if we hear drama issues in New England this year? You're going to. K-Gun, you're going to hear issues in New England. I told you from day one who A.J. Owens was. You guys got on my ass for that then. Now, it's funny. All of you guys, when I was calling him A.J. Owens, now he's the worst thing to ever come to Philly. I know who he was. I knew what he was going to say. I knew it was going to end like this. I knew you guys would villainize the guy at the end. I told you you were, and you did. Sills, you heard Bijan Robinson and Jamar Gibbs are holding in for new contracts? They should. Shouldn't you be worrying about your division? That's how you know when ninjas are emotional. Dude, all I'm telling you right now is that comment yesterday. Okay? That comment yesterday made me really pause a bit because why? And what was the purpose of it? What was the purpose of throwing shade on AJ? AJ deserves the hate. Why? He delivered. 2 NFC titles, Super Bowl, winningest 5 years in the history of the Eagles. 2 14-win seasons. What do you hate him for? What do you hate him for? It was a massive success, the A.J. Brown era. I mean, hey, by the way, we'll find out how Hurts plays without A.J. Seals, call me crazy, but you can always make the argument Hurts was taking a shot at KP. So you think KP was entitled? Nick entitled him? So you think he took a shot at Nick Sirianni? That's a shot at Nick Sirianni, Donnell. Because Nick hired KP, elevated him. Why would he take a shot at his current head coach? And for the record, we wouldn't even be bringing this up if Hurts didn't bring it up. Hurts is the one that brought it up. So to be fair, Hurts never says anything after the offseason talk. He probably felt the need to defend himself a bit. Why? You're the quarterback and a Super Bowl MVP. Why not just move on and show leadership? Why show pettiness? The comments are there for you to listen to. Sills, you're right that Jalen's purpose with the statement was selfish. It didn't help the team, but I don't think it hurt the team either. No, I didn't say that. I think it's something to keep an eye on for the next excuse. If Jalen feels better, and by the way, I'm sure other people heard that comment. Of course they did, in a different ear than what I did, or in what a player inside a locker room would hear. And I'm sure somebody outside the locker room will probably hear it a little different. Okay? But when you're bringing something up that a player's been gone for 4 months, and you've got to make an opening statement on something, what's the game plan on that? What's the point? It's a total bullshit move. Oh, I get it. 0 entitlement and 100% alignment. Okay. Too bad you couldn't address that bullshit in the 49er game or all last year in your passing game. If that was such the case, it's either Sirianni or Hurts or both. And if they did address it, they did a weak-ass job of addressing it. Plain and simple. So AJ was already considered a dog before coming to Philly. Yeah. And he legitimized Hurts. Then the relationship soured. Hurts is taking ownership of team, specifically the offense. Was a little messy. Yes, yes. And by the way, you want to look at it on another end too? Now that AJ's gone, maybe Hurts does become a better open leader to the unit now that he's gone. Maybe he undermined him, which I think he did. Hey, do I think A.J. Brown undermined Jalen Hurts? Yes. Because every time Jalen would say something, there'd be some cryptic bullshit out of A.J. Personally, I don't think Nick or Hurts handled it well. I don't think they handled it well. And thank God for Barkley in 24. Because the passing attack was 29th. let's talk about how good Tank Bigsby has looked catching passes. By the way, we're going to get to that. Gary Cobb gave me a update on what went on today. Offense did not look that hot today. So we're going to get into that. Vic also spoke, and we're going to get to that. And I'll tell you what, you can always count on Vic Fangio to be honest with you. And you don't have to worry about editing. And you don't have to ever worry about a guy having to walk comments back. Then he's totally entitled to point out if a guy became bigger than the team. It's going to ruin everything. So saying it's all alignment and zero entitlement is a cure to last year's failure. Was that necessary for the public? Why did you need to know that, Brandon? Brandon, why did you need to know that? Why did the media need to know that? If that's the case, I thought people in here just got through saying the public doesn't deserve any comments and how they address the team. Why is that important for you to know that now we're in a better place? Because the media out there showing negatives, Hurts showing he listens to the doubters. Okay? What's calling your quarterback out in public, that shit works both ways. Thank you, Jace. After press conference with Howie, I think Sirianni's job is super safe. Also, Sirianni took shots at AJ when we drafted Lemon, saying he will actually do what's best for the team, etc. I'm glad Jalen did. So both AJ and Nick are taking shots at AJ Brown the first day of practice. Why? Where's that going? What is that? Player hasn't been here in 4 months. Like, what is that? Lemon's going to do what's actually best for the team? Thanks for the super, Jace. I'll tell you what. It's very apparent that Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni are in cahoots together. There is no doubt. Whatever that coach sees, Jalen's following along. Whatever Nick wants, and get this, they should. They've had success. At everyone else's expense, those guys are all, at the end of the day, expendable. Coaches, players, whomever. It's the Nick and Jalen Hurts show. That is definitely on pace for the 26th season. Those two guys. I don't know if Jalen Hurts is in cahoots or anything with Sean Mannion yet. I do know this. Him and Nick think alike. AJ's like my mom, like my baby mama. Drama wants more money, airs all his dirty shit. Hurts has 4K yards, 300 TDs, but loses in the playoffs. So you pay him or no? Let's see what it looks like. Hurts said nothing after AJ pulled the book out. No, but after AJ was dealt to New England, 100% alignment, zero entitlement, and Nick is saying, we got a receiver now we drafted that's going to do what's best for the team. That's Monday morning quarterbacking. I went back and listened to those interviews, and I'm like, what's the point? Funny how Jalen is completely bought in. Praising coaches, reaching out to teammates after 2 off seasons of articles saying he was a terrible leader and hard to coach. When this joint practice happens, all of us will understand it's all Hollywood BS. AJ, Hurts, they'll be all shaking hands and smiles. Probably so. Probably so. I'll give that to you. Jimbo, Eagles lost to a JV team and backups at home. My advice, I would be quiet. Eagles are favor of the month to the 49ers. All right. So we're going to continue more of that conversation. I mean, you go back and listen to that. 100% alignment, 0% entitlement. Even Philly 500 yesterday said it was a shot at AJ. When he was on Battle Royale, said it was a total shot. What's the point? After the fact? So wait a minute. You had a problem with AJ all year long, and you didn't address it? And if you did, it was weak. And if Nick addressed it, it was even weaker. And you know how Nick addressed it? Hollering at him on the sidelines of the Niner game. M. Reyes, Hurts won the trade. We're July 30th. We'll see. 26 is right around the corner. You mean you're hoping? Have you listened to AJ interviews? Shots everywhere. I know that. You know who he is. I'm not surprised by Owens. I'm not surprised by AJ Owens' comments. He's a great player who's emotional. We've told you that since you traded for him. What are you missing? RC, snap out of it. We've told you since day one who the guy was. You don't want to hear it. Love you, Sills. It was a shot at AJ, but also a shot at this year's team, letting them know this is all about being on the same page and no Eagles and bullshit. That's fair. That is totally fair. That is totally fair. Okay. I got to tell you, one of the greatest parts of the Eagles to cover is covering that D coordinator, Vic Fangio. He is the most honest assistant coach / coordinator I have ever seen. I have never seen a guy be more truthful on certain circumstances than Vic Fangio. And by the way, you remember when I told you you guys drafted Jahad Campbell to replace Nakobe Dean? And all of you and everyone on draft day said, no, they didn't. And I'm like, yeah, they did. Oh, he's going to play some edge. That day's over with. He can't play edge. Vic told you today. That experiment is over. He can't play edge. You think that guy's bullshitting you? Of all the people in the building, when it comes to bullshitting, Fangio's not that guy. Oh, my God. The Fauci references was awesome. What am I going to take the fifth? Did you see that thing yesterday? Hey, Vic. Well, better be careful. You're going to get that guy, what's his name? Dumowitz. Pissed off writing shitty columns about you. Hey, by the way, Paul Dumowitz. Just a question. Guy sounds like a Trump guy. He did the forward in your book? Huh. Okay. Put that in your book. Put that in your book. Guy gives me shit and gives Trent Cole shit for people saying something, and all of a sudden, Vic makes those two references. Sounds like a MAGA guy to me. He goes, you see that shit yesterday? Where'd that come from? That parachuted in like a paratrooper. That guy doesn't give a shit about anybody. Thinks the way he thinks. So Vic was asked the question about Jonathan Greenard. Not sure Jonathan Greenard will practice at all during training camp. We'll see. What? So the guy we talked about yesterday that has a history of injuries, Vic's not sure he's going to practice at all in training camp. Not sure Jonathan Greenard will practice at all in training camp. We'll see. I asked you yesterday if you were concerned about that and potentially starting the season. Hold on. In helmets and shorts? They're not in pads yet. Oh, my God. He looked great yesterday in helmets and shorts. Says, how worried are you about Greenard? It's sketchy to sign a guy off a career low season and him be hurt to the start of camp. On top of that, he's only played one healthy season in his 6 years. You have any concern about it? What was the numbers? We did it yesterday. What was the numbers yesterday on Greenard's health? Here. 2020, missed 3 games. 21, 5 games. 22, 9. 23, 2. 24, first and only full season. 25, he missed 5 games due to a shoulder. And as my wife is listening, shoulder injury, and now he's got a pec injury. You don't think those two are coincidental, do you? You don't think that shoulder injury has any kind of consequences on the pec injury, do you? I do. So let me get into what Vic said. Yeah, I couldn't believe the Fauci references. He said there'll be competition at safety. Great. That guy's so honest. So great. Way too early on Jahad Campbell. He had, what was it? He had an issue a year ago where he was a little up and down. But he's confident in his abilities. I am too. And I'm confident in Vic. Straightening anything that will be an issue for Jahad Campbell. Jahad Campbell, Vic Fangio, I want to see that thing fail if it does, and I don't believe it will, just for the record. Do I think Jahad Campbell is going to fail with Vic Fangio as his linebacker / defensive coordinator? No, I do not. Okay? No, I do not. We're going to ask Greenard to do some things differently than he's done before. And we're going to see if he can do it. Now, I think he can do it. And him missing a good portion of camp, that's where he's going to miss this. They were going to ask him. Personally, I think they were going to move him around like we suggested. That they were going to move him around, strong side, will side. And they were going to move him and flip the ends and edges. And they were going to move him around. Somebody followed up a question with drops more. He goes, maybe. I think it more had to do with up front on the line of scrimmage. Putting him in weak or strong, playing him in the weak side more, playing him in the strong. I don't know. But it seemed that he talked about having him do things different, which means moving him around more. Zander brought this point up yesterday. He traditionally plays on the weak side. I think Vic wants to put him on the strong side as well and see how he performs over there. Okay? How about this? This is a telling factor about your offense. A lot more moving parts on this new offense the Eagles have. More moving parts. Everything we told you this offseason, Vic told you in that statement. This is a new offense. This is a new offense. Listen to Milana. Listen to all the play. Listen to Hurts. Listen to Devontae. Some of these reporters have a problem with being wrong. When they make a statement that they think things are going to be cosmetic, and then you hear the fucking players saying it, and then you go out to practice and watch them doing it, they still don't believe it. They still don't believe it. They're watching him do it. They saw him in minicamp and OTAs. It's like they don't want to say, well, it's a new offense. And yet, when you listen to the players and you listen to the coaches, it's the even Vic Fangio, there's a lot more moving parts on that offense. He was asked about BG. That's a Howie question. I'm beholden to Howie. What? Oh, that's right. Vic doesn't get to pick the players. Howie does. That's a Howie question. I think Campbell fits more on the strong side because that's where the tight ends are at. Plus, I think he's a bigger dude than Greenard. Do you bring Brandon Graham back now to create more depth? That's a Howie question. Offense seems to be doing more things to disguise plays. Okay? They're moving around more to try to confuse the defense. It's a good thing. You don't want Nick Bosa going on podding the Peyton Manning cast and the Manning cast barking out plays before the Eagles snap the ball anymore. So I'm assuming that's a good thing. "2025, Nolan Smith was choppy. Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt had a good first day. That's good. By the way, they're in helmets and shorts. But, dude, when you're flying around, you're lining up right, you're understanding the concepts of the defense, and you're seeing the new offense, and you know where to be, and the coach feels comfortable with you, that's a great thing. When you're in helmets and shorts, it's got nothing to do with how fast you looked. It has everything to do whether you're in the right place. Nobody's hitting anybody. You got to line up right. You know how hard that is for some? Lining up right and getting into the right position, you'd be shocked. Guys not in proper technique, guys not in right alignment. Dude, when you play pro football in today's NFL, you being in a 2 technique or a 3 technique, that's the difference between a 15-yard run play and a 3-yard run play. If you don't have proper alignment. Vic is such a goat. He is. He's such a goat, dude. Jalen Carter. How about what he said here? Well, when you give somebody that kind of money, that's a Howie thing. Those guys are betting on that guy to live up to that contract. And how will he play to that contract? Essentially what he says. Okay? That'll be something to keep an eye on. He is so to the point. By the way, competition at safety. Okay. So he don't know who's starting at safety unless it really is going to be Cooper and base. That means who's the slot? Or does he slide over and third down in the slot and they bring a whole new crew in there? I mean, who's going to be the two? My question is, on third down, which you're in 69.5% of the time, who are your two safeties? That's not base. When you're in too high, who's going to be your two safeties back there? Makuba and who? Carter? Okay. Those are your safeties on third down. Am I right? Fair to say that? He does. Yes. Yes. One of the greatest draft choices the Eagles have had in the last 15 years. 7th round draft choice. Already a $26 million market value. Amazing. Amazing. Sills, what I love about Vic is that he won't have a problem pulling Campbell for Trotter if mental mistakes arise. Athleticism only goes and gets you so far. You're correct. Okay? It would either be Makuba, Carter, Makuba, Epps, Carter. I think it's going to be Epps and Carter. Oh, wait, Epps and Makuba. That's who I think they want. Who I would think they would want. I would think he would feel more comfortable with Epps and Makuba. You're hoping for Makuba because you drafted him in the 2nd round. Seals, who do you feel as the best defensive coordinator the Eagles have ever had? Jimmy Johnson or Vic Fangio? I can't pick between those two. Well, dude, you got to pick between the success. I know, gang. Look, he did a great job with Hugh Douglas, Jim Johnson. He did a fabulous job. But I think you got to throw Buddy Ryan in that conversation. But the one thing that Buddy Ryan, with that 46 and that gangrene versus Vic's defense won the Super Bowl. And they were number 1. They were number 1 and won the Super Bowl. I'm not sure what else you need. I mean, who had the best defense? How about this? Vic may have had the best year in Eagle history. The best coordinator? Man, I mean, Buddy Ryan, Bud Carson, Jim Johnson. Those are hard people, dude. Vic was praising Makuba once again. A fake narrative being pushed. I just said Makuba, probably an Epps. The fuck are you talking about? Hey, dude, you know you got to not play hurt also. Fake narrative? What narrative? I just said probably I'd rather see Makuba and Epps. Dude, stop making shit up, Prince. Jesus Christ. Oh, I apologize. Apologize, Prince. Gotcha, bro. Gotcha. My bad, Prince. Shut up, maniac. I see you, Jay. Not upset, Jay. Ryan had Jeff Fisher. Bud Carson was pretty good also. Yeah, Fisher, I think, was the DB coach. I think he was the DB coach on that team. Sills, it's crazy how Fangio didn't win a Super Bowl in Frisco when he had that front seven featuring Willis, Bowman, Brooks, the Smith brothers, and McDonald. Hey, man, situations, sometimes the offense, you got to look on the other side. I'll take the fifth. I thought that was classic. I did. I did think that was classic. By the way, Gary Cobb gave me a rundown of what happened today. So we're going to go over what happened. The offense struggled today. Not a great day for Hurts. Eagles DC Vic Fangio on Jonathan Greenard's injury and when he'll return, it remains to be seen. He's going to miss a good bit of camp. Coming off of an injury year and really having an injury-plagued career. That's why Minnesota moved on him. Hey, do you think this is – let me ask you something here. Who put that up there? Hey, you think he's the Nakobe Dean of the Minnesota Vikings? Really a player you wanted to keep and like. But you just couldn't give him the money because he's always hurt. Could he be the Vikings version of Nakobe Dean? Yeah, but that's not going to be a shocker, dude. Your defense is better, and you're doing something different. I wouldn't get into a panty raise, day 2, over the offense with up and downs here. Hang in there. But they struggled. The defense is better. There's better football players over there. I'm going to say it one more time to you. Your offense is overrated. I mean, think about it. Devontae Smith and who are your pass catchers? They're dudes and a rookie. Barkley, okay, I'm probably thinking top 3. And then what else? Where are you explosive on offense? Where are you explosive? You're 2 offensive tackles. Okay? Just practicing against Vic Fangio and his defense is going to be the best thing to happen to Mannion and learning his new offense. They're going against one of the best defenses and defensive coordinators every day. I agree 100%. I agree with that. That's why I think we can be sold, but we can't upgrade, I think. Hey, Sills, it wouldn't be a show when you get people in here and don't listen, but always adds to the cachet. How much time does offense have to catch up? Well, these drills, like 7-on-7 and 11-on-11, this is set up for the offense, not the defense. The defense is at a limit because you're not hitting when you're in helmets and shorts. When you're not hitting, a football shouldn't hit the ground. Makes me wonder why Patullo couldn't rely on Vic to help him evolve as a play caller. He might have been less open to the input. Hey, Reyes, you ever think that would have been maybe Kevin Patullo being respectful to Nick? Because Nick's not open to it? Exactly. Sills, people are slow. It's a new offense and new concepts, and they're figuring things out. The facts, as the defense said, are giving them fits. I like it. Yeah, I wouldn't read this. That thing ESPN does for WIP, dude, it's day 2. Shorts and helmets. Hey, the offense, they look like they limped around a little bit, and the offense. You think the offense is learning new pass protections? Yes. You think they're learning new run fits? Yes. You think they're learning how to do a screen game? Yes. We told you from day 1 this was going to be a lengthy process, probably till week 7 or 8. That's why that defense has to play in September like a championship defense. The offense is not going to play like a championship offense. It's not at the beginning of the year. It may. It might. So I put some notes down here. And this is what Gary Cobb told me he saw today. Gary was out there for Fox 29. It was a pretty rough day for Jalen Hurts today. Eagles defensive line and the Eagles defense with Vic Fangio won the day. The offensive line had issues in pressure. And how about this? Gary thinks that Hurts had a little bit of issues in setting protections. And he was probably sacked at least 4 times in 11 on 11. Now, again, it's day 2. They're learning a new pass protection. Dude, and what's crazy is there were some people who actually were fighting me saying, hey, Sills, this is going to be more cosmetic. That's not how this is looking. Okay? So there was a deep pass and double coverage to Dontavian Wicks, from what I'm understanding. Pass wasn't perfect, but Wicks made a play on it, which is good. And one of the most important things that Gary said that Hurts didn't do, he didn't drop his eyes. He kept looking downfield. And that's what a good passer does. He continues to stay in the pocket. Look, now, it's helmets and shorts. Big misses, though, throughout the day. Missed Devontae Smith, wide open pass on a seam route. And a boatload of checkdowns today. So you're going to see a ton more checkdowns. Okay, so they're going to struggle. I like how people thought, well, you're going to change the offense. You're going to bring all these new guys in. You're going to bring a brand new concept in. You're going to do all of these things. Seamless transition. It wasn't seamless last year, and you were pretty much doing the same shit you did in 24. Why would you think doing something 70% different was going to be seamless? Checkdowns is new. I am great with checkdowns. Checkdowns win Super Bowls. Deep passes lose games. The longer the pass, the more percentage of turnover. The shorter the pass, the shorter the chance of turnover. Common sense. And yes, day 2. Nobody's getting crazy. Oh my God, the offense. They were terrible. I'm not anywhere in that. It's called practice for a reason. You're working on new things you haven't done before. Did you not think there was going to be a learning curve? How wild is that? Utilizing the talent in the new and refreshing ways is going to vault this offense to the top, which it's never been. Still 45 days until football. Sunday, we got the Hall of Fame game. I'm confused. How did this guy last so long in the league not reading defense? It's unheard. Well, how did Michael Vick last that long? Michael Vick didn't read a defense until he got to Philly. He told you that. I mean, Vic told you he didn't really ever read a playbook or study in any way until he got to Andy Reid. That's not as uncommon as you think. So let me finish here. Defense won the day. Not a shocker. Not a shocker. Gary said defense looked great. A lot of pressure. A lot of missed opportunities at picking up assignments in the offensive line. Let me ask you this. The thing I'll be keeping an eye on is Chris Cooper. How are you going to make that O-line excel doing new shit? Chris Cooper's got a lot of pressure on him. A lot of pressure. That quarterback gets hit. By the way, they gave up a ton of pressure today. That quarterback gets hit early in games. Somebody's going to have a come-to-Jesus conversation with Nick Sirianni on that move with Stoutland. Remember, he will answer for that this year. If that quarterback gets hit, and if he's going to be in the pocket more, and he's going to be looking downfield. Under Stoutland, they were number 2 in pass protection a year ago. If that guy gets fucking hit this year, and he gets hit often, somebody's going to answer for that. That's going to be Nick. So stop with he can't read defenses. I don't need to go on any further. Sills, we need to retain one of those good OCs somehow. Make him a head coach. The only way you're going to stop the revolving door is hire a head coach that's a play caller. There's no other way. Or a 75-year-old play caller. Or somebody like Vic that's in his late 60s and has got no intention of being a head coach. That's the only way you're going to stop that. Until that is addressed, the revolving door of coach, you'll have a new coordinator at the end of this year. That's the way the Eagles operate. God bless Mr. Billy Ray's family. Truly a debt is owed to all that came before us in this world. That was the only true thing Twist said all year, and still skipped over it. Not necessarily, Sills. No one knew how good the greatest show on turf was going to be until they hit the field. Okay. So you think that Jalen Hurts has the same skill set of Kurt Warner as a passer? He gets the ball out quick, throws with anticipation. Plus, he had Mike Martz as his play caller. So you think Sean Mannion's Mike Martz as a play caller? Is that right? Mike Martz. You're getting and saying to me, Sean, that Sean Mannion's Mike Martz, that Jalen Hurts has the skill set of Kurt Warner, and that you have receivers like the Rams had, and a running back like Marshall Faulk. As good as Barkley is, he's no Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk is one of the greatest backs that's ever lived. I'm confused, Sills. I learned to read plays playing middle school ball in Madden. How does anyone make it to the league and not have a clue on reading defenses? That's a real question. Marshall, How many of these quarterbacks you think come out of college know how to read a defense? There lies where the quarterback position is. They're not told how to read defenses in college. They're told where to throw the ball. Marshall, the difference in college and pro used to be when you're in college, you know those signs that they have on the side? They tell the quarterback where to throw the ball. They tell the quarterbacks where to throw the football. In the pros, you've got to dissect at the line of scrimmage. That's not a Jalen Hurts thing, really. That's Josh Allen didn't really know how coming out of Wyoming. This is right. College football is a one-read league. When you're a pro guy, boom, 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 check down, check down, check down. I wonder if there's a stat here. What were the percentages? What were the percentages of all of Tom Brady's passes? Brady's NFL passes that were checkdowns. Checkdown throws. What do you think it's going to say? Here. 65% of Tom Brady's passes were checkdowns. 64-6 were checkdown plays. Almost 7 out of 10 plays were checkdowns. Guy won Super Bowls doing that shit. You can hide coverage, so reading the defense isn't easy. In today's NFL, Prince, the one thing that they're doing today in the NFL that they didn't do back in the 80s and the 90s is those post-snap changing of the defenses. Post-snap coverages. I mean, that's new because the athletes are better and can get into different positions. That's why the game is played more in space than it was back in the days. You had linebackers like Levon Kirkland. Now you have linebackers like Nakobe Dean and guys who are athletic and guys who are 215 pounds, 220. You don't see 250-pound linebackers like you did. And that's right. Twiz is right. It's less man. It's more zone. For 7 years of Brady, he didn't throw for 4K. Boom, boom, boom. Underneath, 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 underneath. Here's something else that is becoming clearly a talking point. Eagles are asking Jalen Hurts to be a different quarterback in 2026. That's not really evolving. Evolving is evolving an RPO guy. And, you know, look at what they're doing up in New York with Jackson Dart. They brought in an RPO OC to evolve the OC and a quarterback to a skill set. You're right, because I remember picking at Jared Goff because McVay used to get mad when he didn't throw the ball where he told him to. The flip side is Goff got better in Detroit when they let him play his ball. So I guess it's a give and take. It's a trust factor, Marsh, and thank you, Marsh. Marsh, Goff got better because I think Ben Johnson understood him more. Ben Johnson saved Jared Goff's career. I think of this, Marsh. The one thing that aggravated, and you're dead right, Marsh, McVay never trusted golf in Los Angeles. Stafford's going to change the play, and he's going to be cool with that. Golf changes the play. He's not cool with that. It's a trust thing. Matthew Stafford has seen every blitz that you can throw at him. He thinks that Jared Goff doesn't have the arm talent that and he doesn't have the arm talent that Matthew Stafford has. But it's also a trust factor. Marsh, he didn't trust him. And by the way, for the record, I can't remember the last time Detroit's been this successful with one quarterback like this since the 50s. Since Jared Goff has been in Detroit, he's had more success than Matthew Stafford. Now, there's better teams because Brad Holmes is a good GM. And pretty much with that Stafford deal, almost every single one of those picks have panned out and played out. And he's done a nice job. Not many guys have the arm Stafford has. Guy's insane. He is. Brady's still only 2% interception rate in postseason with a massive sample size. Checkdowns, high percentage passes. Checkdowns, high percentage passes, throwing to the tight end. Throwing to the tight end, checkdowns. Throwing to the tight end, checkdowns. Dude, you're going to have a high percentage, completion percentage throwing to Gronk and throwing to your backs. They're low percentage turnovers. Rasputin. Brady was never a high volume thrower down the field, like in his entire career, except for 1 year with Moss, and they went off. Other than that, it's been the intermediate passing game. I don't mind window dressing Hurts. Hold on. I don't mind cosmetic looks. It'll help him have easier throws. Hey, listen, with all them, what did Vic say? A ton of moving parts? That'll help the quarterback. Hey, the coaches have to give him easy throws. You got to help him. Look, if you want him to throw across the middle, make it an easy throw. Throw to Barkley. See if Barkley doesn't. Hey, who would you rather see in space? Mekhi Lemon or Barkley? I'd rather see Barkley in space. Who do you think a better runner in open field is? Barkley or Lemon? I'll take Barkley. Who do you think is a better open field runner? Goddard or Lemon? I'll take Goddard in open space. You know, I mean, dude, and then bring in Lemon. I want to put the football in the hands of a guy who I think is a mismatch. I'm looking for mismatches. I'm not looking to throw to the best player. Maybe that's what he talked about with alignment and not entitlement, too. I'm throwing to the easiest throw. You know, that's got a little bit to do to that, too. By the way, I'm not saying Jalen's wrong on that. Because alignment is more important than entitlement. Of course it is. Because that's what's in the best interest of moving the sticks. Brady's success with that skill, with that style, killed the Eagles because they tried to copy it with the Mia receivers like Jenks, Mitchell, Trash, and Pinkston, thinking they didn't need a one. Yeah, but think of this, Slagger. In Brady's Super Bowls, he never had a legitimate one. They were all moving part Mias. Edelman, Amendola. Those guys are like good players. Good. Exceptional? They're not exceptional players. Brady turned C students into B+ students. Seals, here's why I think Hurts likes Sean. He came in with a plan. I think also, before I'm going to read it all here, Prince, I think the most important thing that he likes about Mannion, I want you to run through this wall. Here's why. Because if you run through this wall, this is going to affect this side of the play. This is going to affect backside of the play. And eventually, 3 plays from now, we're going to go over the top and we're going to try to open the door and do something different, and it'll make that next throw easy. When a player is spoken to like that, here's why we're making 5 steps instead of 4 steps. It's easier in your pass rush to get to this angle. Lamar Leachman was a great coach, Prince. And Lamar Leachman used to put these footprints as we would learn pass rush moves. And he goes, look at all those stupid moves that you're making with your feet. You used 3 more steps when you only needed to use 3 steps in total to make that move. You're losing ground. I used to look at it and go, he goes, you're not hitting the pads. I would do this at the line of scrimmage, shake like this. He goes, are you looking to dance? Left foot, right foot, left foot, power. What are you doing with all these other steps? And as a player, you want to know why you're doing that. You got 3 seconds to get to the quarterback, and you're shaking and baking at the line of scrimmage. Pass is gone. And it made sense. So maybe Mannion, again, explaining it. Hey, dude, there is nothing wrong with over-explaining why you do shit. It puts a player in a comfort zone when you're doing that shit. He came in with a plan. Let's start with the fundamentals in your footwork. And that will help you get through your progressions. I didn't even read the rest of it, but it's kind of what we just said. And yeah, Prince, you're right. Jalen's listening. You made my point. The Eagles didn't think they needed a top wide receiver because the Pats did it without one. But McNabb didn't have Gronk. Chad Lewis was a good but not Hall of Fame tight end like Gronk. Dude, Chad Lewis was a good football player. But you're right. I mean, when you start using the names Gronk and Travis Kelce, Chad Lewis is a good player. Zach Ertz, those are good players. But Gronk and Travis Kelce, that's a different level. You're right. But, Slagger, what's the one thing that Gronk and Travis Kelce did for Mahomes and for Brady? Those 2 players attacked the middle of the field. They attacked the middle of the field because they had elite dudes. Hey, let me ask you this. Do you guys think the Eagles have elite guys to attack the middle of the field? Or just the perimeter? Looks to me like all the great elite passing games attack the middle of the field. Do the Eagles have players and explosive players to attack the middle of the field? Do you? You think so? No. Well, there lies a little bit of your problem, too. If you don't have elite players to threaten the middle of the field, probably one of the reasons why you're not and go through the middle of the field. Well, when you say Smitty, well, how come he hasn't? I don't think you have a lot of guys to threaten the middle of the field. That's why I think they're going to try to get Barkley more involved and Goddard more involved this year. I think that's going to be your key. Goddard and Barkley. Barkley checkdowns, Goddard on the seam. Dude, if Goddard gets 800 yards this year, 850, 70 catches, Eagles passing game is going to be pretty damn good. Still, if Goddard is used properly, he can attack the middle. The wideouts are too thin to work in the middle. Sales, and to your point, Bill Belichick is also a teacher. He tells you what to do and explains why you need to do it. That helped Brady. Jalen isn't Brady, but he had a great teacher. Yes. And who did Belichick teach as being a great coordinator? Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick went back and forth. Same with Bill O'Brien. Here's what I think Brady's going to see. O'Brien would go, this is what I think we're going to do. And they would go and form a game plan together. Belichick was involved in the game plan, building those Patriot game plans. And I think Mannion should have Vic Fangio involved in some of those game plans. Hey, Vic, I want to try this week against the Commanders. What do you think? I want to show you some stuff. You got time? I'm sure Vic would be open to anything. Sure. Why wouldn't you use an asset like Vic Fangio if you're Sean Mannion in the building? I would. If I had the greatest doctor in open heart surgeries before I went into my first surgery, I'd go in and go, hey, doc, can you give me any pointers? Dudes like Edelman and Amendola and Beasley made their hay in the middle of the field. They were smaller dudes. You need a quarterback to throw them open and away from traffic. Well, yeah. Well, you're talking about, and again, you're talking about an elite mind. Brady only, you know, Brady's biggest asset wasn't his arm, wasn't his body. It was his mind. His greatest asset was he could dissect the defense. That's the biggest intangible you can have as a quarterback. How fast do you process? How fast can you read? Where do you see your landmarks? Where do you see where you think the pressure's coming from? I mean, Brady had a pre-snap understanding of that before he went to the line of scrimmage. How many times did you hear, like, Phillip Rivers walk to the line of scrimmage going, that guy is in the wrong place, and we're going right at him? He goes, you're not a Mike. What are you doing there? You think you're going to fool me? He's calling people out in the middle of the play. I told you were not going to do that. Chad Lewis is not Gronk by any stretch. No, but if you have a quarterback, you can throw Chad Lewis open. Backyard quarterback, 50-18 with 2 NFC titles and a Super Bowl. Yeah, well, I'm not there with that. Purdy and CMC, Kittle, and wide receivers are all making adjustments at checkdowns. Hurts doesn't do this. It's more complex. I think this is one of the things that they're going to do. The same is going forward. College football is not developing that way, and I don't know who's going to cause neither of them to have the patience. Kim, it's not important for these coaches who are making $13, $14 million to have these guys ready for the Eagles or for the Giants. Why do I care? If I'm a college head football coach, I don't give a shit about coaching in the NFL. I make just as much money as Nick. Kurt Signetti makes the same money Nick makes. Why do I care? I'm in Bloomington, Indiana. Why would I want to coach the Eagles and listen to 50 other people, an owner, and all this other bullshit? Why would I want to do that? I mean, I'm not developing quarterbacks for the NFL. Why in God's name would I want to, and nor do I care to do that? 2,000-yard rush is not going to happen anymore. Good luck, Eagle fans. What? Wait, 2,000-yard rushing? No, because you saw what has to happen for a 2,000-yard rusher. What has to happen? Your passing game has to be dog shit. And you can only throw the ball 300 times. Nobody's going to build an offense in today's NFL that throws the ball 320 times. Nobody. You think the Eagles want to go back to throwing the ball 320 times? When you're paying guys all that kind of money? You get the highest paid offense? Hell no. Niners and Cowboy fans are obsessed with Philly sports talk. Yeah, because in Dallas, Jerry Jones runs the radio stations. Eagles didn't have a 2,000-yard rusher in 22. 2K rushing isn't the only way. No. But if you think about it, you almost did. Hurts gained 750 yards that year. And I believe Miles had almost 1,300 yards. So in theory, you did have a 2,000-yard back. Let's take a look at that. 2022 Eagles stats. Did you have a 2,000-yard rushing game? Let's see. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you did. Maybe I'm wrong. 2022 Eagles offensive numbers. Let's see here. Rushing. You ran the ball for 2,500. You ran the ball for 2,500 yards that year in the regular season. 2,509 rushing yards on 544 attempts. 4.6 a clip at 150 yards a carry, 150 yards a game. I don't know. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. It was the talent around Brady that made him look good, Sills. Nothing more, nothing less. The talent? Like who? What skilled guy did you think was a Hall of Fame guy except for Gronk? Dan, you're all the way wrong. Derrick Henry in 24 had 1918 rushing yards while Lamar had over 4,000. Why didn't you call that high pass? The guy had a 4,100-yard passing game, and he threw for 41 touchdown passes and had 4 picks that year. To be fair, Sills, I said 2. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. You did say that. Seals, how can this offense get better with Jalen under center? Not just checkdowns. Disguising. Hey, dude, if I come to the line of scrimmage and I see the quarterback under center, I don't know what he's doing. I see a quarterback in shotgun, I'm pinning my ears. Common sense. I'm on here. Here's the difference with Jalen Hurts under center. For a defensive lineman. Tell me if you think this makes sense. If I see Jalen on first and second down coming to the line of scrimmage on first and second down and he's under center, my feet are on the ground. If I see Hurts in shotgun, I'm on my toes. That puts me in a pass rush mode. And I can play run defense in a pass rush technique. That's the difference. When I'm first and second down and Hurts is under center, they're going to run the ball or they're going to throw it. I don't know. You open up your options of what you can do on first and second down, and the coordinator's got to adjust to that. When you're in shotgun 70% of the time, shit, dude, I'm on my toes. Seals, do you see the screen game coming back to this offense? Hurts isn't strong with that throw yet, but I'd love to see Saquon in space. Right. Get Saquon in space, dude. I said it earlier. Who would you rather see in space? Mekhi Lemon or Saquon Barkley? Right? All right. Armando Salguero is going to join us, Hall of Fame voter, covers the National Football League. That'll be at 4:30. Interesting couple days here. And again, if I were Eagle fans, and when you hear the Eagles, again, Gary Cobb told me the offense struggled today. That's going to be something that's going to happen early. I wouldn't get freaked out over that. They're working on new things. Okay? So, all that being said, plus Vic was awesome at the presser again. All that being said, guys are doing a great job. Big Z's working his ass off. He's giving you the football in the morning, and he's giving it to you at night with John McMullen, who's out there at the complex covering the team, giving you an eyes-on perspective. We're fortunate that Gary's given me a lot of help and him being out there for Fox 29. Without further ado, our friend Big Z joins us now. We appreciate him coming on the program.
What's up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
What'd you make of Vic today, dude?
Vic was good. Vic is always good, Sills. Vic is always good. He's honest. I liked what he had to say. I didn't think it was negative what he said about Campbell. I heard you say that.
I didn't think it was negative. I think he was just being honest.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's time for him to be a backer, and that's where you need to be, and that's where you're going to play. So I had no problem with that. But look, honest as always, and it's always good to hear from Vic Fangio. I think we need some more honesty coming out of that organization.
Here's why. Again, if that came off and that landed wrong, if you remember right, Zach Bond was being thought of as an edge rusher, and they moved him inside, and he's turned out to be one of the top, off-ball linebackers.
Yeah, right. The only way to be effective isn't just from the edge.
No. But they found his role, and they realized Campbell can't play out there. That's not going to be where he's going to be more effective. I don't think that's anything I think that's putting the player in his skill set. Did
you see that Vic has I agree with you, by the way. Vic his press conference today, though, has surpassed just Philadelphia reporting.
Let me guess why.
Yeah, I guess he took a shit on Fauci, and then or he mocked him or whatever.
Oh, he did. He took a shit on him.
Yeah.
He goes, "You see that? What was that?" I was like, "Whoa, classic. Holy shit!"
Classic. I'm sure people will get their panties in a bind about that, but classic Vic Fangio was today for sure.
All right, so before I go back there, and I want to go back to Vic here, and I want to talk about Greenard here in a second. I do want to ask you something here. A lot of people are going to have a different opinion on this. So yesterday I went back and listened to that presser, and I went back and listened, and I agreed with Philly 500, and I agreed a little bit with what you said this morning and last night because I watched your night show too. 100% alignment and 0% entitlement. Okay, so what's the end game with that when the player hasn't been here, A.J. Brown, in 4 months?
What do you mean 4 months?
Well, he hasn't been here. How long has it? Okay, 3 months, 2 months. How long has A.J. not been here? July.
Traded him what, June 1? Yeah, so June. 2 months. 2 months.
2 months. 2 months he hasn't been here. What's the end game on addressing the fact that we don't have an entitled player on our team any longer?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing to call out bad behavior. I mean,
really? Well, why didn't he do it last year?
Well, you want to play. I mean, if you want to go back, sure. I mean,
no, he did.
You can criticize it from that perspective.
Well, he did go back. He started his.
You learn lessons, don't you? Learn lessons in life.
So, but my point was, why didn't you just move on?
Well, because he wanted to address it because he doesn't want it to become a problem again.
So, the 100% alignment and a 0% entitlement, in your opinion, okay, you think they had to address that on the opening statement of the quarterback for 2026 season? And it was important. I even heard John say it. It was an opening statement by the quarterback to set up what happened a year ago so we don't have anything happen like that again this year. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I didn't have a problem with him saying it.
I have a problem with him saying it on Monday morning. I wish he would have said it.
I don't. That's
Why
fine.
wouldn't you? Well, is it leadership in the moment?
Well, I mean, everybody's got their own version of leadership. I for one don't have a problem with Jalen saying it. In fact, I would dislike if they act like, that stuff is just a figment of our imagination. It's real. It happened. It's now concluded, and we've understood the problem. We have addressed the problem, and we are moving forward. In other words, if you act like the problem doesn't exist, then you might not fix it. I think it's an acknowledgement. It's an acknowledgement of where things went off the rails last year.
So Hurts thinks the problem was AJ with this entitlement.
Well, I think you're taking it too blanket at AJ. I mean, I think that statement could be applied to more than just AJ.
Who else was entitled? You think it was Kevin Patullo too?
Yeah, I think Jalen was entitled. He didn't want to run the different offense because they didn't practice it. The offensive line probably still felt, a sense of pride from the way they played the year prior, trying to run that way. Saquon Barkley coming off 2,000 years. I mean, I don't necessarily believe that was AJ was obviously a part of it, but I think it's more of a blanket discussion of, I'm the quarterback of the team, and I'm saying that this is what we all have to buy into. Now, do you believe the message is a good message? Forget AJ for a second.
Yeah.
I do too. So that's what I think is valuable about it. I mean, I don't, I have no problem with the leader of the offense trying to lead people down that path. If it was a bad path, then I could understand where you're coming from.
But no. Here's where I'm coming from. Isn't that shit you say in your locker room to your team? Why does the media need to know that? Why do the media need to know that, hey, last year we had too many entitled players on our team, and that's what went off the rails? Dude, there's a reason you make 100% alignment now, and everybody's falling in line today, and we didn't have everybody falling in line last year.
Well, again, AJ was a part of it, but the team wasn't aligned last year offensively.
So as a whole, taking a shot at Stoutland too?
No, I think he's trying to correct a problem that permeated on the team last year.
What was the problem in your eyes?
Misalignment. Everybody wanted their own thing. Nobody was willing to sacrifice to buy into the big goal. Nobody ever came to the big picture. I think it was more about that.
Okay, then whose responsibility do you think that would have been a year ago to put everybody in alignment?
Jalen's a part of that. Head coach, probably the biggest part of that. Offensive coordinator, a big part of that.
You just said too. Guys can learn from shit like that.
Yeah, look, and the other thing is, I don't have a problem with Jalen addressing it because, look, dude, this is Philadelphia, man. Like, that stuff is going to the stories will be written, the questions will be asked, the speculation will be had. I don't have a problem with him getting out in front of it. I get your point of, say it to the guys in the locker room, but this is Philadelphia. I mean, it's going to be a big part of the story. So you might as well come out and say, I fully acknowledge that last year, those things impacted negatively our offense without even saying a name.
So you think Jalen got ahead of anyone asking questions if you've rectified some of the issues of a year ago? And that's what is open. Because I want to know what the end game is while you're going backwards.
Well, I don't think it's even about getting ahead. I think it's about acknowledgement of where they need to be to achieve what they want to achieve.
Or where they need to go.
Right. I mean, I think they have to. I mean, if you don't address that and you just say, all right, AJ's gone, all right, and nobody wants to address it. I mean, maybe those problems permeate again. Maybe that frustration boils over again. Maybe there's things that matter again that take away from what they're trying to do in the big picture. I think you can collectively say, without AJ, being the focal point of it, is as an offensive unit, we have to be bought in together.
Okay.
for the team more than ourselves. And I think that's a good point as a
Okay,
leader.
so wait a second. I'll ask you then your personal opinion. Who was he talking about entitlement? Who do you think he
I
was?
already said. I said. I think the coaches. I think a little bit of everybody who probably feels like coming off that 24 year, their shit didn't stink. I think Jalen, from a sense of when it wasn't working and he was, resistant to the change that they wanted to make. AJ Brown, who obviously, handled it the way he handled it, very publicly and outwardly. I don't need to explain that to you all. I think everybody. I mean, I believe, Sills, whether right or wrong, that in the game of football specifically, when you win as a team, and when you lose, pointing the finger is the easiest thing to do. Anybody can point a finger. Everybody should look inward. Where could I have been better? Because everybody on that team, not just offense, everybody on that team could have done something better last year. Everybody in our own life listening to that right now. Do you live every day perfect? Do you handle every situation perfectly? Do you lead your family? You know what I mean? I think everybody has to be able to say, this is where we need to go collectively, and this is where I can contribute to help us get there. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but I think it's everybody, though, to answer the question.
Again, I want to be consistent on this. Okay, it's great to address all of that after the fact and not in the moment. Great coaches are problem solvers in the moment.
I agree. And they got to learn from that.
I mean,
and maybe one of the versions of doing that, though, is getting out ahead of it more this year.
Okay. You know what? That's right.
Like if you can't identify something that you think is a problem, it's a lot harder to correct that problem.
I'll agree.
It's harder to correct that. So, but I get your point. I mean, it's easier to say now than it is in the thick of the moment. I agree with that. But, it's water under the bridge at this point.
I would have been, it is water under the bridge. That's why
I mean, look, the 2016 has to be successful.
Bro, I'm opening up my presser talking about the guys I'm going to battle with, not the guys I had before.
But also, doesn't the offense that they're trying to run to also call for a different version of players? I mean, there's more sacrifice involved in the offense here.
I got to hand it to you today. You kept going at John going, I don't see what you're saying here, because the coaches, the players, the practices, everybody's saying the whole thing. Vic Fangio had a quote here.
Yeah, I got
a lot more moving parts. There's a lot more moving parts in this. Dude, you got everybody saying it now, and there's no question. And so when you hear today the offense struggling, by the way, I expected that. The defense is going to be ahead because of that. That's not a bad thing, dude. They're doing different blocking fits. They're doing different blocking schemes, pass protection. They're doing different run fits. What'd you think they were going to do? I think what people are really looking at is that offense has so many skilled guys that Zander, they think that they could just put any system in and they're going to do it. Well, guess what? This is something they've never done in 5 years. And this is going to be an exercise on how quick it fits, right?
I agree. Yeah. I mean, and the other thing is they do have a lot of expectations for being in a first-year identity of what they're trying to accomplish here. Now, that's where, to me, it comes down to your best players. For example, when you are trying to do something that could be perceived as challenging or like you're saying, might take time to grow, in my opinion, the only way to expedite that process is when the very best, the cream of the crop, in this case on offense, it's 4 or 5 guys. It's Jalen, it's Saquon, it's Devontae, it's Lane Johnson, and it's Jordan Mailata. The cream of the crop has to elevate everybody around them. They have to make up for any deficiencies that exist on the rest and within the rest of the unit. And I think that's what has to happen this year, in order for them to reach the level that they want to reach, because it is new. They are going to have growing pains. And I think that's natural in life. I mean, they're going to have growing pains. And in order to overcome that, in a speedy enough way to reach the pinnacle of what they want to reach, I'm sure they have Super Bowl aspirations. I mean, I'm sure they're not looking at this like, okay, let's figure it out this year and then go for the title in 28 or 27. I'm sure they're not thinking about it like that. So in order for them to do that, I think the best players are going to have to elevate and play at their very best. In other words, I don't want to point the finger at Dontavian Wicks that he's not good enough. You get what I'm saying? I need Devontae Smith to be a superstar. I need Jalen Hurts to be a superstar. I need Sean Mannion, in a way, to be a superstar, even though he'll need some help. I need Lane and Mailata, Saquon Barkley. These are the guys that will raise the tide, will raise the ships. Rising tides raise all ships. Isn't that the saying or whatever it is? I think that's what has to happen in order for them to go the distance this year. So, it is a lot that has to go right, but, I'd rather need my great players to play great than the alternative.
I'll tell you what I'm starting to like on a daily basis, listening to what people are saying about your boy, Sean Mannion. This is why I'm putting my left foot in front of my right foot. This is why I'm putting my pen over here. This guy's got a pattern of doing things and explaining things. Dude, when you get a coach, Zander, I want you to run a trap play, okay? You want me to run a trap, okay? And he doesn't explain it. Here's why we're running the trap, because what we're going to do in 3 plays, we're going to run the counter tray backside with the quarterback, keeping the ball instead of giving it off. He's going to come back 3 plays later because I believe that backside end is going to scrape down and it's going to be open for Jalen to take off for a design run on a 30-yard run. When you're hearing people talk like that, that's vision. That you see a concept of what you're doing here. I can't tell you how many coaches are in the moment. I want you to run a T-twist. Why? Well, if we run the T-twist this way, on the backside, I'm going to bring a safety because they're going to start thinking we're playing with this because that's the weakness of the O-line. Then I'm going to bring DeJean coming up the A-gap. When you got coaches that are like Howie is a visionary on how he sees 2-3 years down the line. When you got a coordinator like Vic or any coordinator that runs a play for the 5th play in the sequence of plays, you got somebody special. He's not seeing the play. Right. He's seeing the plan.
Exactly. And that's where I think Kevin.
And that's where I think this guy may be ahead in heels over what Petulo was, where this is what you're hearing all the players say. We did something here doing this. We did that slip and scoop over here, but you know what it did? It gave us the backside. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this guy the benefit. I am.
Well, and I think it also directly corrects something that I think Petulo didn't do well. If you don't understand, you can understand offensive.
He never saw the plan.
Right. He never saw the forest through the trees.
That's right.
He was trying to cut one tree at a time.
That's right.
And I think that's a great point by you. Obviously, we got to see it in motion, but I do agree that Sean seems to have a good understanding of, how sequencing an offense, how to set things up later, how to put players in the best positions to succeed. So I think that's a good. I like that from Sills. I like that little bit of positivity on Sean Mannion.
Well, let me just drop the hammer now on one guy. I'll tell you what, dude, if we got a problem going on here with those run fits and those pass protection fits, Chris Cooper, bro, my ass is on you. You better be awful good in this protection. You better not let Mannion and that offense down because you've got the most talented part of the team is on your O-line. And, bro, if that guy does not answer the bell, Nick's going to have to answer for this guy, Chris Cooper. Because today, supposedly, they gave up 5 different opportunities here when it came to sacks.
I wonder if the perception in the locker room about Cooper, is that more Mannion related or do you think that's Nick related? From the outside, the head coach, right? The head coach is always going to have to fall on the sword, but it does feel like that was a Mannion hire.
Yeah. I think
maybe not though, because of what happened with Stoutland on the way out the door.
Yeah. I thought we had Armando at 4:30, but I'll tell you what, Z, you want to come back? Come back after the fact. We'll come back.
I got the 6 o'clock show, so I don't know that I can, honestly.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Well, whatever. You're good now. That's fine.
Okay. Right. Okay. So what we'll do is because you got that night show here. So, hey, man, one thing, though, before I get to Armando, what do you think on the Greenard stuff? Are you concerned even more so after what Vic said? He may miss a significant time.
I'm not going to lie to you about it. I'm a little concerned about it, especially because he is new to this defense. I know he's obviously a veteran player, has a lot of experience, and Vic will thrive with that. But it's definitely not ideal that he's going to miss all of camp. And you could tell Greenard put up a post I think yesterday on one of his social media platforms. Clear frustration from him, trying to do his best to put his faith in the Lord, and he feels as though he'll be back out there, but you could sense the frustration through his post, and it's you don't want to pay a guy $25 million sales and show up to camp, but he can't play camp.
No.
I think that's the obvious answer. But it's July, so we got some time here. It's a strain, it's not a tear. Now that could become a tear if they don't handle it the right way. So I would give him time.
It's grade one.
The other thing I would say here is, I think the Eagles ought to learn from. They've done pretty good with this in the past, but there has been moments, if you remember, where guys they've tried to get back to the field quicker, and maybe that doesn't bear out the right way. I would give Greenard the opportunity here to the full slate. As much as it sucks, you want him to be fully healthy coming back, because I need that guy after Thanksgiving a lot more than I need him before Thanksgiving. So give him the opportunity to get healthy, but not ideal. And so I'm sure it's going to be something we'll keeping tabs on here early in the year.
You will be on right after the program with John McMullen. John will give you a bird's eye view of what went on there at Eagle training camp. And by the way, Z, I'm very fortunate that we have Gary Cobb kind of giving me the updates too on what he saw, because he was out there today and he's going to be out there every day. But Big Z, keep up the great work. I love the stuff in the morning and the stuff at night. Don't forget Birds 365 following the show right away. Thank you so much, bro. Love you. I'll see you then.
Love you, Sales. Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
You got it. That is Big Z, Zander, Krause. I'll tell you what, man, the national perception of this Eagle team is going to be, I think, pretty interesting this year because of all the new things that they're doing. And what will the 2026 Philadelphia Eagles look like? Armando Salguero, we've known each other since we were in college together at the University of Miami. Make sure you check out his fabulous work at Outkick. Works for Fox News as well. You see him all over the place, covering the National Football League. We'll talk about the Hall of Fame this weekend, if any significant changes are coming. I tell you guys, we get all these Hall of Fame voters on, like, Howard Balzer and Jason Cole and all these guys we get. Jared Bell. Armando's my favorite of all time, though. And we bring him on here now with us. Make sure you check out his great work. Armando, appreciate it. Hey, dude, end of the day here. You can't hear me? You can't hear me? I can hear you. Let's see if we can reconnect with him. Let's see if we can reconnect here with our friend here. Hopefully we can catch up with him. And let's see here. Send him a text here. Hopefully we're able to catch up. Let's see if we can catch up to our friend Armando Salguero. Let's see if we got him here. All right, let's try it again here. Armando, you got me.
I got you, brother. How are you?
There you go. Here we are, all 32 teams in camp. We're ready to roll. How you feeling about it?
I'm feeling awesome. I'm feeling, as the Jacksonville Jaguars tweeted yesterday on their first day on the grass, God is good.
Absolutely here. All right. We're based in Philly. I want to get your thoughts. 2026 Eagles will be what in your eyes?
Contender. I know that Eagles fans are Super Bowl. Gotta do the Super Bowl. Guys, it's hard. Okay. And the Seattle Seahawks are still good. They didn't graduate a lot of people. The Rams are really good, and they were in the NFC Championship game last year. They've added a pretty good player. They might add, true that. In Myles Garrett, their defensive backfield obviously is great. Aaron Donald decision pending. So that's a big deal. Dude, even the third team in that division's damn good. The San Francisco 49ers. The Bears are coming, or believe that they are. The Cowboys think that, they're going to be better. The Commanders think last year was the mirage and the year before that was the reality. I don't know. We'll see. The Giants are going to be tougher because they've got a Hall of Fame caliber coach. The point that I'm making, Sills, is that it's not a walk in the park. It's not going to be easy. The Eagles are going to be good. Are they going to be a Super Bowl team? I don't know. Nobody does. They don't know. But they will be a contender. It's as simple as that.
Are you basing that on Howie and the roster he built?
I'm basing that on the talent, on the team, assuming that Jonathan Greenard, notwithstanding, there's no more injuries, there's no more issues, right?
Yeah.
And if you know Howie Roseman, who said he's done? I don't know that he is, right? So he's not finished as far as the roster building is concerned. So we'll see what happens. I just think that that's a very well coached team, better coached this year, probably, than last few years. And I love Vic Fangio on multiple levels. Look, this is a team that there is a net plus addition, I think, by subtraction at the wide receiver room. A.J. Brown's, I don't want to say A.J. Brown's act. A.J. Brown's demeanor, I think, not being in that locker room will be good, right?
So you think that was more kind of like a TO thing, not so dramatic with the push-ups that, again, as you know, certain guys wear their welcome mat out. And it was just time to move because, again, I mean, not everybody, like you look at a guy like John Harbaugh or Jim Harbaugh, especially Jim Harbaugh. Jim's not for everybody. Jimmy Johnson's not for everybody past 5 years, right? So you think everything's got it. Well, everything does have a shelf life, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It's shorter.
Absolutely. And, he's not the only one. A lot of these, I don't want to say diva receivers, but yeah, let's face it. Some of them are diva receivers. They wear out their welcome, and it gets exhausting, waking up on a Monday morning to a social media post that is, who knows what it means, right? And it may or may not be about the quarterback. It may or may not be about the offensive coordinator and the play calling. We don't know what it's about. Talk to the guy that reads the book on the sideline. I don't know. So that, I think, is played out, and I think it's a net plus that the Eagles have moved on.
Give me your takeaway on where Jalen Hurts is in his career now. I'll tell you what, Armando, if I look up any more lists and see he's 20th, he's 15th, people don't see him anyway, and yet you turn around and I have to even do this. Well, he is 50-18 in 4 years with 2 NFC titles in a Super Bowl in an MVP in that game. And I'm like, I even go, hang on here. Okay, he's not the best passer. He's not the best guy across the middle of the field. Okay, he doesn't throw on time. And yet I'm going, wait a second. He's a walking contradiction of what's going on. How do you see him?
I see him as a player, as a quarterback you can win a Super Bowl with. Why do I see him that way, Sills? Because he's won a freaking Super Bowl. That's why. And at that time, he was more an answer than a question. And I think Eagles fans, and maybe even the organization, probably because he delivered in such a grand manner in that particular game, thought, wow, this is an arrow up situation, and who knows what the ceiling is. I think we know what the ceiling is. The ceiling is he's a good NFL quarterback. Is he elite? No, he's not elite. For all the things that you just mentioned, is he a guy that's going to put the team on his, shoulders and carry them? No. But if you have a good roster, which they do, then you're going to win. And I know that we get kind of caught up in you have to have the best of the best to win the Super Bowl. No, you don't. You have to have the best team to win the Super Bowl. And I think that the Eagles are a very good team. Again, I wouldn't put Jalen Hurts in the top 5 among my quarterbacks. If we held a draft tomorrow in the NFL exclusively for quarterbacks, he wouldn't go in the top 5. I don't know that he'd go in the top 10, to be very frank with you. But if you want to win a Super Bowl, you got your guy.
How do you look at Nick Sirianni? Do you look at him in the same aspect? I mean, here, and I'm gonna bring up a name to you that I bring up all the time. I don't think anybody's sitting around going, George Seifert was a great coach. George Seifert, in 8 years, had 105 wins, counting the playoffs, and 35 losses. This guy won 105 of 140 games. And he won 2 Super Bowls. It's incredible. And yet, when he went on his own, he kind of got exposed in Carolina, right? How do I know Nick Sirianni is not a product of the environment that he's coaching in with Howie Roseman and that great roster?
Well, we're all products of the environment that we're in, and you know that better than anybody. If you're playing next to Jerome Brown, it's a little bit different
than Teddy Brown. Yeah.
Or Joe Brown,
yeah.
or Joe Schmo. It's a little different. I think Nick Sirianni is a good head coach. I think he's a good preparer of teams. I think he's fine. I don't like his hiring all that much, right?
Shoddy.
And I think that has been at times his downfall. I get the loyalty. Once you hire somebody, you got to stick with them and you got to be loyal. But that's where I am with Nick. Nick Sirianni, much respect. And I would say, let's see, in that division, and as we know, the first goal of every NFL team every year, with the exception of maybe the Buffalo Bills a couple of years ago, is win the division first. That's what you got to do first. Otherwise, you're nothing, because you're not going through the wild card spot to get to the Super Bowl. In that division, Nick Sirianni better than Dan Quinn? Okay, I'll buy that.
Yep.
Nick Sirianni better than John Harbaugh?
I'm not buying that one.
I'm not buying that one. Having said that, Nick Sirianni more talent than John Harbaugh right now.
Yep.
That's a great equalizer. As a matter of fact, we just got done talking about how that's more important. The difference in talent between the Eagles and the Giants is wider than the difference in talent between John Harbaugh and Nick Sirianni and their staffs.
Great point.
Right? So, and especially when you have arguably the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. So there's that. And then, the Cowboys, I have a hard time gauging Cowboys coaches because they have a dynamic going on that no other team has, with Jerry Jones as the owner, general manager, spokesman, brand manager, head of of social media, maker of stories, and trader, as in TRADER, not
Oh, and
T.
don't forget the king of the blinds now too for the World Cup. So we have to
It,
throw
it,
that in there.
it's that team's crazy. So I guess my point is he's fine. He's good. No issues with Nick Sirianni, that coaching staff going forward.
If you were going to build a football team with these two general managers, who would you take, John Schneider or Howie Roseman?
Man, that's like, do you want a Cadillac or do you want a Lamborghini or do you want the Ferrari?
I thought you were going to go Halle Berry or Sierra, but I'll go with the car. I'm all right with that.
Yeah. I don't want to get in trouble. The wife is over there somewhere within earshot. I would have. So there is that. So look, John Schneider has built Super Bowl champions. And John Schneider built a multiple time Super Bowl team, had that team age, rebuilt with another good team, and then rebuilt again with a Super Bowl champion. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
Who else has that resume?
Yeah.
I don't think even Howie Roseman has that resume.
I look at those two guys, man. I mean, Howie with the salary cap. And like you said, now you're even going through different ownership here. All right, Armando, I'm going to ask you this one here, and I want you to explain this to me because you are in the media more so than me when it comes to stories, and I need to have you explain this to me. I'm setting you up here. So this weekend, I'm on my Sports Grid show, and all of a sudden, Kyle Shanahan's in an accident. And I go just like this. Holy cow. The head football coach of the 49ers is in an accident. No, Sills. This happened 3 weeks ago. And I was like, well, wait, what? And then I go to ESPN after Adam Schefter had announced it. Then on ESPN, 1 minute later, there was a full dossier story on how the guy was in an accident. My first initial thought was, well, aren't they playing the Rams in the opener in Melbourne? Did they hold that information for gambling? Did they hold that information because he was drinking and driving? Why would you create narratives for hammerheads like me to sit there and go out and make these potential narratives when you're holding it or embargoing a story? I want you to explain this to me now. Are we in an era now where you guys are told, I want Armando Salguero to hold a story. And Armando, I want you to put it out next week because we have to get ahead of this story. Is that what happened?
I'm not sure that's exactly what happened. More likely, what happened is, the partners get fed stories. It's just the way it is. ESPN is an NFL partner. CBS is an NFL partner. Fox is an NFL partner.
ESPN actually in the NFL are 10%. NFL owns 10% of ESPN, but I digress.
I was getting to that. ESPN, on top of all of that we just mentioned, and I guess you can mention the streaming networks as well, Amazon and Netflix on Christmas. ESPN has the added advantage now that they indeed are a 10% in business with the NFL. And they're going to be broadcasting the Super Bowl. It's a big deal, right? And Adam Schefter, God bless him, a friend of mine, known him for a long time. He does very good work, and he is obviously the big kahuna on the whole inside.
How do you know he does good work if he's being fed stories?
Well, you're being fed stories by people who you've built a relationship with, Sills. And you're being
Yeah, but
fed stories.
you always told me, I'm going to do the stories they don't want me to say and they don't
Oh yeah,
want me to know.
of course.
Not the stories that they're feeding me. You told me
Right,
that you told me this 15 years ago when I was on QAM. I do
right.
stories people don't want me to report.
Of course. But at the time, I was covering the Miami Dolphins.
Yep. Chris Forster was the story, actually.
Oh my God. What a night that was.
Oh my God. Yeah, I remember you go like this. I've got a good one, and I go, okay, I'm putting you on tomorrow. Sure enough, man, the whole thing blew up, and I'm like, holy hell.
Yes. Coach doing cocaine in his office is one of those,
Yes.
Don't put it out there right away stories. Sorry. Not my problem. I'm not the one that supplied or imbibed.
Yep.
Not my deal.
Yep.
Those are different. Schefter is an insider. You can't put those guys and beat writers in the same. It's not the same galaxy anymore. And it's the local guys that are expected to find that story, to break that story. When the team wants to put out that story, it goes to the insider. It's as simple as that. Unless they have someone on the beat that is just, you have to include him because he will destroy you if you don't. I was that guy in Miami, thankfully, because people knew, and that's how it works. Look, it's we're talking about how sausage is made. There's deals cut. It's as simple as that. Hey, you do this for me, I'll do this for you. It's as simple as that. When was the last time, for example, Adam went back after he broke a story on a contract and reported the numbers and then broke down the contract? Never happens. Why? Because years ago, and I would say maybe 5-10 years ago, we would find out that the contract numbers that he had been told were different than the ones that are on paper. And he wasn't going to correct that, because what does that do? It means the agent doesn't call you first. Simple as that. It doesn't happen nearly as often right now as it did, because he obviously said, hey, you got to be square with me and you got to give me the right numbers. Otherwise, my credibility is at stake. And that has corrected itself. But there are times that, journalists and the people that they cover, they have a relationship and things get worked out.
What do you make of Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers not coming to a deal? I mean, Baker thinks he's a $55 million a year player. The Bucs think he's a $50 million, $48 million a year player. How do you look at this, and how do you think this thing plays out here? Because Baker said it, and he said it a couple weeks ago. Once the camp starts, conversations are off. He's going to bet on himself. And know this, he bet on himself at Texas Tech. He bet on himself at Oklahoma. He's bet on himself before. So he will do this. How do you think it plays out?
I feel strongly both ways. I understand both sides. Look, Baker Mayfield believes that he is resurgent and that his best days are ahead. So he wants to be among the 10 quarterbacks that are currently making between $51 and $55 million. There's 10 NFL quarterbacks doing that. There's one in the $60 million range, I believe, and one above that.
There's two.
Yeah.
Dak's got 60, and I think Mahomes is 63.
Like I said, one in the $60 million range.
There you go. Okay.
Anyway.
Excuse me, it's my Miami math, so go ahead, Romano.
Anyway, the point being, if you ask me, would I be comfortable paying Baker Mayfield $50 million a year? No, I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. I get what the Bucs are trying to do. I do not understand the 2-year thing. That's the part that really was curious. They don't want to commit to a 31-year-old quarterback beyond 2 seasons. So is he your franchise quarterback, even if you can get him for 45, 47, or is he not? And if he's not, why haven't you done anything to start replacing him? Well, now they have, because Baker Mayfield is torqued off. He is feeling undervalued. He is disappointed. He is angry because you didn't commit to him. Today he was talking, he's been talking about, and forever being defined as the last 3 years, been talking about Tampa as his home. It's where I'm going to raise my family. I love it here. And today he talked about Tampa as it's my home right now. They have an issue. There is an issue. Baker Mayfield will not be talking about the contract beyond or much beyond today, but he's pissed off. Simple as that. He's pissed off. He wants to stick it to the Bucs. He basically said as much, and he knows that if he plays at the level he believes he can reach, he's going to get paid at the end of the year, and there will be no franchise tag to discuss because that's just crazy talk. So he's in that situation. The Bucs are being careful and they're being judicious. I get it. I get both sides. It's a tough situation. It really is.
2 last ones for you, Armando. Would you pay Jalen Hurts north of $60 million in this coming offseason? Here's where he sits. He's got $20 million guaranteed going into 27. Nicole Lynn and their Clutch Sports had gone to Howie Roseman and the Eagles I think it was the Combines. They passed on a contract extension talk, and they want to see how he is in this new offense. If you're Howie, knowing this with Baker, who could potentially be a free agent out there and maybe a quarterback that you could have as a cup holder until you figure out your quarterback scenario, would you pay Jalen Hurts $60 million at the end of this year?
Well, what did he do?
He won 2 NFC championships, won them, and he's won himself a Super Bowl.
No, I don't care about that. He's gotten paid for all that. What did he do this year? I mean, if he balls, he's going to write the check. Simple as that. If he doesn't, if he's a 20 touchdown, 10 interception guy, that's not $60 million. It's not it. So what did he do? Where did the team go?
I love your take. So he's been paid for what he did. This is about where we're going.
I don't care about the reputation. I care about the production. And Janet Jackson was very smart. What have you done for me lately? What?
The offense at 24 was 29th in passing. Last year it was 23rd.
You're making you're negotiating on behalf of the Eagles. And I get it. He's going to negotiate on behalf of himself. Nicole Lynn is very good at what she does as an agent. And she's going to say, my client threw 30 touchdown passes in 2026. He's elite. And the Eagles are going to go, yeah, you're right. Or the Eagles are going to say, your client threw 20 touchdown passes this year. And we were, 9-8. And he didn't lift the team. And all of a sudden it's a different story. So that whole narrative is based not on 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl championship, all that. I don't care about any of that. And neither does anyone else. And neither does Jalen Hurts. That's in the rear view. It's what's up ahead that's going to get him paid or not.
That's a great take. He's been already paid for that. Now we're moving forward here with this. And if you can't elevate without AJ, right? Because AJ now becomes, hey, look, like you just said, Armando, if he goes 30 touchdowns and he throws for 4,100 yards for the first time in his career, goes over $4,000. And all of a sudden, like you said, they're 12-5. They get beat in the NFC title game. We're in a different conversation then, right? Because he's elevating without what people thought he needed was A.J. Brown, and you're going to feel more comfortable paying him that. But if it goes 9-8, 8-9, something like that, he's 20 touchdowns. They're moving on from him.
I don't know that they're moving on from him, but they're not paying him. That's for sure. And I don't know. I'm sure he would have a market, but not, in the 60s, that's for sure. And maybe not even in the 50s anymore.
Could you see Hurts in Tampa and Baker in Philly?
Who's the coach in Tampa? We're talking about stuff.
Mike
right?
McDaniel.
Yikes. Mike McDaniel, God bless him. Love him. He's a guy. He's one of those guys that
you think he's overrated?
Well, he's better off as an assistant than a head coach. There are some guys that aren't head coaches. Simple as that.
One last one here for you. Hall of Fame this weekend. I've been asking you guys, and I've been prodding everybody as I can, as you guys are getting ready. I know that you guys have these kind of like mafia / like when the Cardinals get together on picking a Pope meetings where I had Tony Dungy on with me last week. He won't say anything. Are we looking at any kind of changes in the format? Are we looking at any kind of procedural changes on how you guys are going to go forward on picking the next group going into the Hall of Fame?
Well, here's my personal change, okay? I'm going to stop bitching at the fact that Belichick didn't get in. That's my personal change. I presented him, and boy, I couldn't get Bill Belichick in the freaking Hall of Fame.
Wait a minute. You presented him going into the Hall, and he didn't get in.
Yeah. I mean, how does that happen?
He got Zach Thomas and he got Jason Taylor. Just so you know,
I got Zach Thomas. I got Jason Taylor in as a first ballot, and so the Hall of Fame asked me, "Hey, Bill Belichick, and I'm thinking, dude, this is slam dunk. I'm gonna do this, and and next thing I know, I've got 20 old men piling on top of me talking about Spygate.
What an L. Oh my God.
I'm thinking, holy crap, what did I get myself into here?
Holy cow, the ultimate L.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's going to be my personal change. What the Hall of Fame is going to do as an institution on its rules, on its selection committee going forward, I have no idea. They haven't told us. And I don't want to know until it's time to know.
Well, man, I'll tell you what. I'm probably thinking there are probably going to be no changes. I hope they go back to the old way where you don't sit there and count votes. Well, if I vote for this guy, that means these three guys don't have a shot to get in. Hey, does he belong in, or does that guy belong in? I think you should have more than 3 guys going in. No, I think you should have 5 guys going in, 6 guys going in.
I think what does have to happen is there has to be an emphasis on people voting for people who are actually worthy. I think what we've seen in recent years is perhaps selectors deciding, you know what, he's going to get in anyway. He's going to get enough votes. Let me vote for this other guy over here that I think should get in, and withhold my vote from that guy, and it'll work out in the end. Well, guess what? That kind of thinking screws Armando because he doesn't get Bill Belichick in. A guy that deserved it as much as anybody.
And you're a Shula guy. And you're a Shula guy. So you know, folks, you're a Shula guy too, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I covered him for 6 years. So, yeah. And you know that Shula was not a big fan.
No, Shula couldn't. No.
Of Bill Belichick.
Don couldn't stand two coaches. God rest his soul, and I love him to death. He was so kind to us when we were at the University of Miami. I don't really think he could stand Jimmy Johnson, and I don't really think he could stand Bill Belichick, because Jimmy did something that was not cool when he was the head coach of Miami. And I don't really ever say anything, but, you know, Jimmy didn't really embrace the Shula Dolphin guys as much as he should have. And he said he made a mistake doing that. And that rubbed Don wrong. And plus, remember what he did too? You know who the first offensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys was? It was David Shula. He blew his ass out after that 1-15 year. So, hey, I like the silence. I should be silent too. Hey, Armando.
You're on a roll.
Hey, no. I should take cues from you. I should shut my hole. Hey, Armando, thank you so much. I love you very much, man. Thank you for taking time today. I'll see you down the line. Thank you, brother.
All right, Big Sills. Take care.
You got it. Armando Salguero. I loved what he just said about Jalen Hurts being paid. Hurts has already been paid for that, guys. So all of you in here with that stuff, look at what Hurts has done. You're not paying. He's already been paid. He's already been paid for all that. You want a new contract? I got to pay you for what you're going to do next. That is a great take. That is exactly right. That money that he signed at $250, that money was for money again. Okay? That he's already earned. Armando is a spectacular writer. Says you got to watch the Nazi catch Wicks made over 2 defenders. It was insane. I know you don't think so, but Hurts is about to have his best season. He's about to make Mannion look elite. Okay? Hey, you could say that on July 30th, Jay. And guess what? I want you to stay with that lane. I'm not saying for you not to. Jalen Hurts has never had an elite year throwing the ball. Like I said, I know MJ's better than LeBron. He is. Eagles have a few Super Bowls. Be happy with that. People, it's over. Now, trust me. Well, I don't know that is over. I love Armando thinks you're still going to be a contending football team. Okay? He does. So 3/4 in a season, but the other 1/4 is the playoffs. I don't know, Gotti. I'd rather have a guy show up in the playoffs. But Hurts doesn't show up all the time in the playoffs. He's had 10 playoff games. He's not played great in every one of those. Here, let me think. Let's take a look. And I want to be fair, K-Gun. So let's take a look at what Jalen's done in these playoff games. Jalen playoff performance. Jalen Hurts playoff games. Let's see what he's done. Okay. See what he's done in the playoffs. 2021, he was 23 of 43. I believe that was against the Bucks. 23 of 41 for 258. 53 completion percentage. 1 touchdown and 2 picks. In 22, 3 games. Let's see. 3 games in that he had that year, if I'm not mistaken. I think because he went to the Super Bowl. So his games, let's see, per game in 22. Let's go here. Yes, that was against the Bucks. And he was 53.5%. Philadelphia versus New York, 16-24, 154 yards, 2 TDs, 0 picks, 66-7. All right. In the divisional game, 15-25 for 120 yards, no TDs, no picks. Okay. Super Bowl, he was great. His best game in the postseason. 27-38 for 304. I think that's his best game. And he was 71%. That's the best playoff game he's ever played. In the wild card game in 24 against the Bucks, 25-35 for 250 and a touchdown. And they got beat. And 25, they beat Green Bay. He was 13 of 21 for 131 and 2 touchdowns. And against the Rams, he was 15 of 20 for 125 yards. Washington, I thought he was great. 20 of 28, 71-4, 248 and a touchdown. Kansas City, 17 of 22, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. And last year in the playoff game, he was 20 of 35 for 57% for 168 yards and 1 touchdown. That's probably, outside of the first year in the playoffs, his worst playoff performance. The 49er game this last January, the Bucks game, his rookie year. The New York game, he was okay. The Rams game, he was like, all right. The NFC title game, the first one against the Niners, had 120 yards. Didn't really need to do much. The defense was great in that game. The Green Bay game, he had 130 yards, 13 of 21. Super Bowl, 17 of 22, 221. Okay. Big time game, a lot of pressure. He's 0, I believe, 4 on the road games. I think he's 6 wins, counting the Super Bowl. I think he's 0-4 or 0-3. Let's see. Bucks. Kansas City's neutral site. Bucks again. And San Francisco. He's 0-3 on the road. Not counting Super Bowls, which are neutral sites. So, dudes swear they know football because they go on Google Stats and see Josh Allen and Dak. They're called trends, guy. If a guy runs a 110-meter and he does 9.63 10 times, is he a 9.63 sprinter because he's run it 10 times? You can Google that. If a guy runs at 5 yards a carry and zone runs, that's a trend. You look at them as stats. Game plans, as I said to you, Philadelphia, are built on trends, on what teams do and don't do. You don't understand that. If a guy runs the ball for 5 yards a carry on one play and he runs it for 2.5 yards a carry on another play, you're not going to run that play. That's a trend. Do you understand how that works? No, I don't think you do. I'm liking what I see so far. Sills, that's all I'm going to say. It's July, true. And I'm not going to say nothing more than that day by day. Let's see how this team improves. So far, it's different. Here. Correct. Let's see. If a guy throws 1,000 times every season, it shouldn't be that hard to reach 4K. Well, a guy doesn't throw 1,000 times. Most a guy will throw is 600 times. You don't understand what high volume passers means, right, Sills? Correct. You don't have a high passing offense. You never have. That's why you don't throw for 4K. But here, I'll show you something. Okay? I'll give you a point on something. So here, let me show you something with Brock Purdy. Also matters who your play caller is. And this will prove a point to you on efficiency. So, in 2023, Brock Purdy threw for 444 attempts. 444 attempts and threw the ball for 4,280. 31 touchdowns. I'll show you something on Hurts. 4,400 passes. 444 passes for Brock Purdy. I'll show you something here. Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts threw the ball that same year for 460 and threw the ball for 3,700 and had one less completion and had 9 less touchdowns. Purdy was more efficient. Purdy threatens the middle of the field. Purdy throws checkdowns. Who was more efficient? Brock Purdy with his 440 attempts. Hurts threw 20 more attempts that year. And Purdy had 1 more completion. And he had 500 more passing yards. But double check on the games played. Hurts played 15 that year. And Brock Purdy played 15 that year as well. I don't know. Sills, it's still insane Bill is not first ballot because that should have been a layup. Yeah, well, you've got a lot of people with jealousy. That's a jealousy move. Your emotions shouldn't be involved when you're talking about something like that. I have a problem when Hurts doesn't trust his receivers, but I don't give a damn about his stats. Well, again, like I said, you just heard Armando say, if Jalen Hurts comes in with 20 touchdown passes and 9 picks, he's not getting $60 million. I'm not proving your point. Bro, proving your point. Brock Purdy spreads the ball around, and he's got a better coordinator. No, you don't count every touchdown anymore. Not when the guy's not running. He doesn't. Now, Angelo, he may run this year. He may run more this year, but I doubt it. Hurts needs to become a better quarterback, and Mannion has him work in the middle more. I'm excited for better or worse. Okay? If Hurts wins with the 29th passing offense, then he gets all the credit. How can he get all the credit when the year that they had when they were number 2 in rushing and the one guy that led the football team had 2,700 yards rushing? How in God's name? Oh, if Hurts doesn't win with the 23rd offense, then it's KP's fault. I got where you're going. Still, Schefter, Chris Olave to sign a 4-year, up to $132 million extension. So let me take a look at that. Let me say this here. Let me see what that comes out to. And let me see where Smitty is. 132 divided by 4 equals, that's $33 million a year. Let's see what the bonuses are. Wow. That's pretty crazy. So let me take a look at Adam Schefter here. Chris Olave, 4-year extension, 132 with a $90 million guarantees. Drew Rosenhaus. And Chris Olave is, I don't think, anywhere the player that Devontae Smith is. Let's see Chris Olave. Let's take a look at his stats. 1,042, 1,100 yards, 400, and 1,163. And he makes $8 million more than Devontae Smith. Whew. What a deal. Yeah, Preston, Drew Rosenhaus just made, let's see, Carter's deal's 162. He gets like 5% of that. And now he just signed a deal for $130 million bucks, is it? 132 million, and he gets 5% of that. Couple days there, Drew Rosenhaus just made himself some pretty good money. And that's why Drew Rosenhaus is one of the best agents that's ever lived. Drew's about to go on a wild vacation. Actually, that guy pumps all of his money back into his business. And his kids are now running it with Robert Bailey. Dude, if you want a good relationship with your organization, and unlike the guy in Houston, Rosenhaus is your guy. Because he never takes no. He never settles. And you know what he's right? What he does too in negotiating? He's fair. If he thinks a guy's not lived up, he's not going to go in there with a psycho balloon number. He's not going into a scenario. I'll tell you what. Now that Baker Mayfield's going to have some options. Baker and the Buccaneers are in a bad way right now. Now that could get rectified. But he's gambling on himself. If Baker goes into this year now, look at what Mayfield's done. If Mayfield goes into this year and he throws for 4,500 yards and 36 touchdowns again, and the Buccaneers win a playoff game, that guy's going to get massive money in the open market. I mean, he's going to get massive money. Kirk Cousins is a top 15 quarterback. He's one of only 15 guys to throw for 4,900 yards and has 7 seasons over 4K. Talk about elite. Look at those stats, man, my man. And one of the most, hey, and you know what, 2K Gun? I'll give you the biggest stat of all time with Kirk Cousins. Highest paid quarterbacks of all time, QBs of all time, NFL salaries. Who are they? Here are the highest paid guys Kirk Cousins is third. He made more money than Tom Brady. Matthew Stafford at 408.3, Aaron Rodgers at 395.8, and Kirk Cousins at $341 million. He's the third highest paid quarterback in pro football history. Matthew Stafford 1, Rodgers 2, Cousins 3, Brady 4, 333. Russell Wilson is 5 at $317 million. I thought you got paid. Hey, Philadelphia, I thought you got paid on wins. Third highest paid guy in the history of the league is Kirk Cousins. That guy's not paid on wins. Sills, could you see Baker in Philly? I think that could be an option. I think that could be an option. Kirk Cousins ruined NFL contract. He started all the guaranteed money. Actually, the Washington Redskins started all the shitty contracts. Because what they did was they franchise tagged him twice. Cousins said, fine. And when he kept performing in Washington, they couldn't keep him because then when they franchised him every year, then they had to come in and give him a market price deal, and they didn't want to do it, and that's why he went to Minnesota. Instead, Washington and Daniel Snyder ruined it. Daniel Snyder should have given him a 3-year contract. Didn't want to do it. That's all on the owner. Owner didn't want to give him and guarantee money to him. So they franchised his ass. Sills, that was sarcasm. Cousins is not elite. He's a great passer, but not my kind of quarterback. I'll take winners. How do you know you're going to be a winner when you go to a franchise? How do you know that? How do you know that? When you get drafted, you have no say if that team's going to build a good football team around you, K-Gun. You think Joe Burrow is not a winner? He went to the fucking Bengals. I know that you think the Bengals and the Eagles are on even ground. Winning doesn't matter. Give me the stats, baby. You mean give me the paycheck, baby? So Trent Dilfer, yeah, well, that conversation is stupid. That's a Philadelphia conversation. He thinks Trent Dilfer is better than Dan Marino because Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. They do earn these contracts, which is why they are offered it in the first place. Well, all the top 10 quarterbacks outside of Mahomes, they're not paid on wins. They're paid on what they're going to do and their talents right now. That's what you're paid on. You heard Armando. Hurts has been paid for that. The stuff that he's done it's a really great take. And Armando's correct. Hurts has been paid for that resume. I had it asked backwards. He's right. Dude, you've been paid. Eagles gave you that money because they believed you would. You did. Now, you got to prove you can go forward for them to give you more money. And that's why they balked on giving them a contract. I think that is really the take. Jalen's been paid already. What is he going to do next? Guys, what good is trash talk unless you can actually back it up? That's for all you Baker fans. He's overrated and overhyped. I think he's got a winning record versus Philly. I think he's a pretty good passer. I think he's too reckless, though, Sean. Armando, Kim is really somebody that I respect a lot. He's a great journalist. Sills, I think we need to extend Jalen, but I just haven't seen 60 million per year, but 54 million per year, I'm with that. If not, trade for Justin Herbert. Dude. Oh my God. Guys, I got to show you this. This was really cool today. So the owner of the Chargers sent me this today. And John Spanos, actually, he's the president of football operations for the Chargers. And John Spanos, let me back it up there. Maybe you can see it. John Spanos. We were talking about Billy Ray today. I like what the Spanoses are doing with Justin Herbert. And I told John today, I think they're doing a great job with Justin Herbert. And I'll bring in Mike McDaniels in and Jim Harbaugh. I think they need some more talent. But I like the Chargers this year. By the way, I got that, and I put that out there for everyone to see because I think John Spanos talking about our friend Billy Ray Smith who passed away, I think is pretty cool. Yeah, what did it say here? Here it is. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate your kind words, and I'll pass them to my dad, Dean. We will all greatly miss Billy Ray. Hope you're well. I sent him another one. I'll keep that private between me and the Bolts. So those Chargers should be a top 5 offense this year. I think the Chargers are going to be a top 5 defense as well. But were they top 5 last year? I think the Chargers were top 5 last year. Chargers were 5th in total defense. Okay. Dude thinks fans pay to watch their quarterback throw for 350 yards. They do. It's called betting. And lose in garbage time. Bro, you're so fucking dumb. It's unbecoming in how dumb you are. More people care about quarterbacks today throwing for 350 yards. Will somebody tell this guy why? Gambling. What are you talking about? Dude, honestly, you can't be dumber with that comment. Gambling is a major part of revenue. You're pathetic, guy. Dude thinks fans pay to watch guys throw for 350 yards and losing garbage time. They do. It's called gambling. I mean, can you be any dumber? Oh, I'm dumb. You got to be 6 years old. We try to win championships, not Leonard Toes ourselves. Ooh, kind of good. Yeah, NFL loves passing, dumbass. Hey, by the way, James, that's why they've changed all the rules in the last 25 years to favor passers and have changed the game so that numbers and scoring go up because he thinks people don't want to watch guys throwing for big numbers and high scores. He's either 2 years old or he's like 90 years old. Who the fuck is talking about gambling? You are. I'm talking about a fan's perspective. Oh, man. Dude, every time I click to that guy, my hand goes numb. Seriously, guy, you'll need yours later. Sills, can I ask you a question about Justin Herbert? He has weapons like Keenan Allen. Bro, Keenan Allen's in his 13th year. Let's see here. Here, look at this one now with Reyes. Once again, I explained to you, quarterbacks don't get paid on wins. I don't have to prove my point. Look it up. I don't have to prove my point. Let's see what Keenan Allen. I think Keenan Allen's in his 13th year. Let's see here. How many years he been in? 13 years. Keenan Allen. He's 33 years old. You call that a weapon? 700 yards? All right. Well, I mean, I guess. Let's see what Justin Herbert has for weapons. You said they had weapons last year. All right. Let's take a look at those weapons. Ladd McConkey, 789 yards. All right. Keenan Allen, 700 yards. Quentin Johnson's been a bust, 735 yards. And Oronde Gadsden the second, 664. Those are weapons? I guess so. Another receivers who produce. Why do you think he hasn't been playing well? I think he has played well. He beat you last year. Not last year? Well, Justin Herbert. Let's take a look at that. He says Justin Herbert hasn't played well. Well, he beat you last year with both tackles out. 37-27, 26 touchdowns and 13 picks. 500 attempts. Year before that, 38-70. Year before that, he got hurt. He missed 4 games. 31-34 with 20. 4,734, 5,000 yards, 4,336. In 6 years, he's thrown for 24,000 yards. And Prince, there's not a guy in NFL that wouldn't take that guy. Shows they don't know about the defense with the new DC because Jesse Minter was a savant taking mediocre corners and making them look great. Yeah, well, they still got one thing in there too, dude. They still got Derwin James back there. And I happen to agree. Let's see what Minter does as a head coach. The younger Sills used to say elite quarterbacks don't need wide receivers. They don't. He doesn't have them. He doesn't have elite wide receivers in LA. And they still made the playoffs last year. They don't need elite wideouts. Justin Herbert doesn't have elite wideouts. Brady didn't have elite wideouts. Mahomes didn't have elite wideouts. Justin Herbert does not have elite wideouts. Herbert hasn't had a wide receiver that played more than 12 games in 5 years. That's a crazy number. Dan, I've come to the conclusion that you like losers with stats. We can go over playoffs tape, and you could see those quarterbacks would have 4 picks in a game when Justin was up 28-3 and couldn't lead his time to a W. Well, let's take a look at that. Dan has come to the conclusion of losers. No, I've come to the conclusion that organizations win championships. You build a good team around a player, you can have an average quarterback. We've seen the last 2 Super Bowls a defining example of that. Have we not? Sam Darnold's no elite. I saw Brock Purdy. So in the last 4 years, if I'm right, let me double check that. In the last 4 years, these quarterbacks have led their team to Super Bowls. Super Bowl list. Here's your quarterbacks that have gone to the Super Bowls the last 4 years. And by the way, I happen to agree with Armando. He's not elite. You've had Sam Darnold, Jalen Hurts, and Brock Purdy. Those have been 3 quarterbacks that have led teams to Super Bowls. I don't think anybody's looking at any of those guys as being elite. Those are pretty good rosters. Seahawks had a great roster. San Francisco had a great roster that year. And let's see here. Yeah. And the Eagles did. Those aren't elite quarterbacks. Says, if you were Dallas, would you trade for Max Crosby or Mike Jackson, cornerback from Carolina? I'd make MJ because he's a pure lockdown corner, very talented and hasn't reached his prime yet. Well, Deshae, if you're Dallas, what's your biggest fear in the division? Is it passing games or is it running games? Do you fear the passing game in Washington? And do you fear the passing game in New York? Do you fear the passing game in Philly? I don't. I fear the run games. So I would want interior play more so than a corner. So if it's me, I'm taking interior help because I got to defend the run in Philly, New York, and let's not forget, Washington was 4th in rushing last year. I've got to defend that. Sills, are these elite quarterbacks like Herbert, Allen, Jackson, Burrow, Dak going to lead their teams to a Super Bowl, or do they need elite defenses? They need great general managers to help them out. I don't know about wide receivers. I don't think they need elite wide receivers to win a Super Bowl. I don't think you have to have an elite wideout, and I don't think you have to have an elite edge rusher to win a Super Bowl. As a matter of fact, I saw something which I thought was pretty cool. So CBS ranked the top 10 players at every offensive position in the NFL. Here's quarterbacks. Josh Allen, 1. Patrick Mahomes, 2. Matthew Stafford, 3. Joe Burrow, 4. Lamar Jackson, 5. Drake May, 6. Dak Prescott, 7. Justin Herbert, 8. Jordan Love, 9. Jared Goff, 10, tied with Jaden Daniels. And the runner-up also receiving votes, Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, and Brock Purdy. CBS Sports NFL experts. Now, this isn't executives. These are the pundits. And the top 15 players, is that 15? 13 or 11 players. Trevor Lawrence comes in at 11, Caleb 12, Brock Purdy 13. Interesting. Those are your top 3. Let's take a look at what CBS says on running backs. Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs. Zander was right on that guy. Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley at 6. Devon from the Dolphins at 7. James Cook, 8. Kenny Walker, Chiefs, 9. Jeremiah Love, that's insane, is 10. That's crazy. Guy's a rookie. How the fuck do you know how good he's going to be? Here, break. That's stupid. Wide receivers, interesting. Jamar Chase, number 1. Justin Jefferson, number 2. Puka Nacua, number 3. JSN, 4. Amon St. Brown, 5. CeeDee Lamb, 6. George Pickens, 7. Nico Collins, 8. Drake London, 9. A.J. Brown, number 10. Tex McMillan, Panthers, 11. Rashee Rice, Chiefs, 12. Chris Olave, 13, Saints. Devontae Adams, Rams, 14. Malik Neighbors, Giants, 15. Zay Flowers, Ravens, 15. No Devontae. Tight ends, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, Tucker Kraft, George Kittle, Colston Loveland. I can't believe how good that Colston Loveland has turned out to be. Sam Laporta at 6. Tyler Warren, 7. Kyle Pitts, 8. Harold Fanning, 9. Travis Kelce and Brenton Strange, Jags, are tied for 10th. Dalton Kincaid, Bills, 11. Dallas Goedert, 12. Isaiah Likely, Giants. Offensive tackles. Penei Sewell, 1. Tristan Wirfs, 2. 38-year-old Trent Williams, still at 3. Garrett Bowles, Denver, underrated, 4. Joe Alt, 5. Andrew Thomas of the Giants, 6. Laramie Tunsil, tied for 6. Jordan Malott, 8. Lane Johnson, 9. Darnell Wright, 10. Interior, interesting. Let's see if we got anybody from the Eagles here. Creed Humphrey, center, 1. Quentin Nelson, best guard in football. I've been saying it for 4 years. The Colts. Quinn Marias, Broncos, center. Joe Tooney, guard, Bears. Can't believe the Chiefs gave that guy up. Tyler Smith, OT, Cowboys. Why would they have him in here in interior? They moved him inside. Yeah, that's a mislabel. Chris Lindstrom, guard, Falcons. Pete Soronsky, Titans. Tyler Linderbaum, Raiders. Trey Smith, guard. And Aaron Brewer, center, 10. Landon Dickerson comes in at 14. Some of the ratings on what some folks at CBS look at. Let's see here. Both JSN and Nacua need to be schemed open. I'll take JJ or Chase. Dude, having a good offensive coordinator is essential also for wide receivers. I mean, you just got through bitching about Kevin Patullo not running a good passing attack. And supposedly you had 2 of the best wide receivers in football. You don't think scheming people open too? Chase is spectacular, no lie. Well, remember something. To some people's points in here, there's no question. When you're throwing from behind like that all the time, okay, and you're throwing from behind like the Bengals have to because of their bullshit defense and the way that they don't spend money on that side of the ball. Now, they've changed that with Dexter Lawrence this year. Okay? They've changed that. Let's see. And they gave up a first-round pick, and they paid the guy. Way too low. And by the way, for the record, me, if I'm looking at those wideouts, here's where I would put the Eagle guys. I think the quarterbacks are right. He's not a top 14 guy. Barkley being 6th. Robinson, Gibbs, Taylor, Henry, McCaffrey. McCaffrey's coming off a spectacular 2,100 yard from scrimmage season. Barkley at 6 sounds right. I think James Cook down here at 8 is crazy. I think Jeremiah Love is nuts. I'd put the Cowboy guy there at 10th before I'd put that guy. Receivers, I would say I'm a Jefferson guy. Jefferson 1, Chase 2, Puka 3, JSN 4, St. Brown 5. I'll take Pickens over Lamb. I'll put Lamb at 7. Nico's a great player. I'll put AJ at 9. And as I said to you before, I'll put Zay Flowers at 10. Tight ends are probably right. Bowers, McBride, Kraft, Kittle, Loveland, Laporte, Warren. That sounds right. Boy, that kid Fanning's turning out to be somebody. OTs, Sewell and Wirfs are number 1 and 2. Those are your 2 best tackles in football. Williams at 38 is still on the list. I think, quite frankly, Andrew Thomas ranked ahead of Mulata and Lane. Yeah, no. Tunsil ranked ahead of Lane and Mulata. Yeah, no. I think Laramie Tunsil's a really good football player, but better than Mulata and Lane, not happening. Not in my book. Slater's way too low. 11th. Slater, I think, is better than the guy in New York, Andrew Thomas. And I think Andrew Thomas is a good ball player. Interior, Nelson's the best inside player. Humphrey 2nd. Tune's 3rd. I would put Tyler Smith, Linderbaum, Chris, Tyler next, former Raven. Trey Smith with the Chiefs is in there. I think this Tyler Booker guy from the Cowboys is going to be really good. The Eagles' former director of player personnel, Ian Cunningham, is the Falcons' new GM. He has the yes. I think Dartmouth, I think the Atlanta Falcons are a quarterback away from being a really good football team. Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson. They've got a really good offensive line. They're getting better on that defensive side of the football. And I think Kevin Stefanski's going to do a hell of a job as a play caller. And I think, hey, dude, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to take it back. Carolina. Atlanta's going to win that division if they get any quarterback play out of Penix. I think he stinks. And Tua's already, I think he took snaps today. But if they get any quarterback play, they're a good football team. They got a lot of talent. And I think they're getting better on the defensive side. The Eagles are 0-3 with Hurts in the playoffs unless they have a top O-line, top rushing attack. Hey, dude, here's the one thing, though, Eagle man. They've made the playoffs every year he's been in Philadelphia. That can't be an understatement. It's roster-driven. I mean, we keep having conversations every other year on how shitty the offensive coaching is every other year. There's a reason why they're making the playoffs. Good players. Good players and off and on offensive coaching. That's what, hey, how about this? Ask yourself this. If Kyle Shanahan was the play caller, let's pretend he's not the head coach of the Eagles. And let's pretend that Kyle Shanahan is the offensive coordinator. Let's pick a better one. If Clint Kubiak is the offensive coordinator in Philadelphia, how many Super Bowls do you have in the Sirianni era? 3 or 2 or 1? What do you think? If you had a better play caller, in the Sirianni era on a consistent basis, how many Super Bowls do you think you'd have? 1, 2, or 3 inside of a 5-year period? What do you think? Just instead of having the Brian Johnsons and the Kevin Patullo scenarios. At least 2? Well, K-Gun, think about what you just said. If you had better coaching, you'd have more Super Bowls. That's why I keep bringing up that comment. I think you leave them out there. So you're saying if you had a better coach that puts these guys in better positions, you'd have more Super Bowls. Dane, something interesting to see how good Styles is. I think Sonny Styles was the best prospect outside of Caleb Downs at the combines. But he's a rookie. Let's see how it plays out. Most of your top draft picks the last 4 years are no longer there. I just saw the stat. You all draft for everyone else. The Commanders in the last 25 years, outside of getting Jaden Daniels and outside of getting the receiver, have just not. And when you got the kid, Chase Young, from Ohio State, that was your other great pick. But the kid ended up getting a knee injury, and it significantly hurt your shot at really doing well on that side of the ball. He should be in the conversation right now as one of the best pass rushers in all of pro football. Was the rookie of the year. But once he got injured, it threw that all off on that side of the football. Then you sent your defensive tackle to Chicago, which was insane. For what? The idea, like Howie says, is to keep good players, not move them. Reed is the perfect example. Look at him in KC. If you had him, you'd have 2, if not 3 Super Bowls. You wouldn't have lost the 22 Super Bowl. Now, to be fair, it is Mahomes and Reed in the building. And then the Eagles turn it around and right the ship 2 years later. They had a better football team in 24 than they did in 22. Twiz, you're missing the point on head coach affects both offense and defense unless you got a guy like Vic that won't take shit from anyone. Our defense would have likely played better if we had a better head coach. Better play caller. Better play caller. It's easy to say if you had better coaching, you'd have more Super Bowls. Well, you fired both the coordinators in your off years. Did you not? You fired Brian Johnson and you fired Kevin Patullo with the same talent and the same group on offense. Do you realize this is the first time in 4 years? Actually, think about it. In the last 4 years with Nick, how many players have you changed on offense? Let's take a look at that. Not this year, but in the last 4 years, how many players have you changed? Your right guard position, Isaac Seumalo, Cam Jurgens went to center. Kai Becton. Right guard. Running back. Swift. Miles Sanders. Running back. What else? Wide receiver 3. Not that you use it. Wide receiver 3. So in 5 years, under the Sirianni era, on offense, you've changed out the right guard 3 times, the running back 3 times, and the number 3 wide receiver twice. You basically got the same group. You can plug in a coach like Nick Sirianni, I'll admit it, but you can't just plug in any quarterback and expect him to win because you got a good roster. You mean like what they did in Seattle? That's exactly what happened in Seattle. They just plugged in any quarterback and expected him to win with a good roster. Philadelphia. That's exactly what happened in Seattle. Were you not watching the NFL? First time he's been a quarterback in Seattle. He wasn't there the year previous. That's exactly what happened. Wait, you just said it. That's Seattle. Sam Darnold did exactly what you just said couldn't be done. Guy's been on 6 different teams. How do you explain Sam Darnold? Coaching matters to an extent. Players have to execute at the end of the day. If coaching doesn't matter, why did it take the Cowboys until Jimmy Johnson's to win the majority of their Super Bowls? It's crazy people think coaching isn't a factor. I think he's got to wait until the end of the year, dude. I don't think he can do that trading deadline. I think it's got to be when the new calendar year starts, March. And I don't think he can do that. Yeah, 49ers. Also in the playoff game in January. Seals, you know what I find funny? Jalen had everything you want in a quarterback. Ice in his veins, the ability to bounce back from bad plays. The things he lacks are all teachable. Fans hate him, though. No, dumbass. Sam Darnold's a good quarterback. Ever thought about it? Maybe in Hurts and Darnold are quarterbacks you can plug in. I don't know what you're talking about, guy. Sam Darnold was cut 4 times. Hey, guys. You ever seen like a guy get dumber and dumber and dumber? Like, you can't make that shit up, guy. Dude, I'll make it very clear. I do not hate Jalen Hurts. I don't hate any player. Fans don't hate him. We just watched the passing game the last 2 years, which has been terrible. Yes. Some fans won't ever forgive Hurts for not kissing the ring of their dear leader. What that means? Sam Darnold isn't great, but he's also not that bad. He's a mid-quarterback on a stacked team. Congratulations to him. Yeah, you don't have to be elite to win a Super Bowl. I've been saying that for 3 years. Sills said Baker turned it around and is good, but Sam Darnold sucks. Baker wishes he was Sam Darnold. Baker Mayfield has turned it around. Let's take a look at that. By the way, he's got a pretty good record against the Eagles. Let's see here. Baker Mayfield. Let's see if he's turned his career around. So Baker Mayfield in Tampa, 4,044, 28 touchdowns and 10 picks. In 24, he threw for 4,500 yards and 41 touchdowns. Last year, he threw for 3,693 and 26 touchdowns. In 3 years in Tampa, he's thrown for 95 touchdowns and 12,337 yards. And he's averaging right now, let's see, roughly 4,200 yards and a little bit under 34 touchdowns a year. And he says he hasn't turned it around. Oh, we see what his record is, too. And he's got a winning record in Tampa. After how Tampa finished last year, I wouldn't pay him yet either. Go prove it and make even more. I agree. I think he's too reckless, and I think he's too reckless with his body, and I think he's too reckless also with the way he throws the football. I agree. I said Sam Darnold's better than Baker. No one said Baker didn't turn his career around. Hold on here. Let me double check what you said. If I misunderstood. Sil said Baker turned it around and is good. I did. But Darnold sucks. I never said – who said Sam Darnold sucks? I never said that. Baker wishes he was Sam Darnold. Both guys have turned it around. I never said Sam Darnold sucked. The Jets did. The Panthers did. I never said that. San Francisco did. Minnesota said he sucked. I never said that. Seals, what are the two hot takes on the Birds this year? Will Chris Cooper get the offensive line turned around? And will Hurts fit into the new offense? Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Sean Mannion and Jalen Hurts and Chris Cooper in the O-line. Those are the two talking points. Sam Darnold is the winningest quarterback percentage-wise since 2022. Damn, wasn't Sam a top 5 draft pick to the bum-ass Jets, went to the Vikings, won 14 games with a good coach, and went to the Seahawks with another good coach? Yeah, but you're telling half the story. I thought good organizations didn't matter. Ramir? I thought good organizations, that it doesn't matter, right? So let's talk about the Eagles defense. Maybe they'll feel better. Wow, can't make this shit up. Agreed. I think the Eagle defense being ahead of the game, when Gary Cobb is telling me today that the offense struggled and that Hurts didn't have a very good day, that's expected. I wouldn't get my panties in a bind over it. They're working on all kinds of new shit there, dude. You think they're not working on new pass protections too? Hey, dude, let's do this. When you're going to run those stretch plays, you may have 2 great tackles, but those 3 inside guys got to work that thing too. And those three guys outside of Steen are not coming off great years. They also got to work that stretch play. Do you know the most important thing also with that Eagle offense this year is going to be conditioning. If you're running stretch plays, you got to be in great shape. You can't be 390 pounds. I'm not saying anybody's in there playing at that weight, but you can't be 390 running stretch plays or 355 running stretch plays. That's why Alex Gibb back in the day when he was with Denver, Alex Gibb didn't have gigantic dudes. He had guys 290, 285 that could move, and they were zone blockers. That was more like a zone man blocking kind of deal. In my lane, who's ever in my lane, and that's how Alex Gibb, he kind of took it from Kirkpatrick, who was the O-line coach in San Francisco, and Dante Scarnecchi did a lot of that same shit up in New England. That's not an easy system to run, dude. Those three coaches ran pretty much the same kind of shit that the Eagles are going to try to run when it comes to those stretch runs. That's the same stuff that New England ran with Dante Scarnecchi. Scarnecchi will go down as, my opinion, one of the top 3 offensive line coaches that have ever lived. Name me a Hall of Fame offensive lineman out of New England. Can you? Can you name me an O-lineman that came out of New England in the Brady era? Here you go. Name me an O-lineman. There's no Lane Johnsons up there. Name me one guy who Dante Scarnecchi coached that was an offensive line guy who went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I mean, he won 6 Super Bowls. Dante Scarnecchi. Yo, you're right. Stoutland's better than Scarnecchi, and the guy got 6 rings. Okay. And did it with dudes. Here. How many Super Bowls does he have? He's got 5. My bad. 5 Super Bowls. Let's see here. John Hanna? A little bit past the decades. Tremendous coach. I'm getting tired of Sirianni never implementing short passes, screens. Well, I think they're doing that now. Hey, dude, I've said it before. One of the reasons why Hurts has never been a 4,000-yard passer, they don't throw screens. They don't throw across the middle. Now they're going to try to change that. Dude, I think the big difference this year, you listen to, again, talking with Gary, more under center, that helps the offense not be as predictable. Because, again, like I said, if you're a defensive guy, your foot's in the ground. You're not on your toes. If I see Jalen Hurts in shotgun, I'm on my toes. And I'll play the run accordingly. If they run any kind of concept out of first and second down, and I'll be on my toes and I'll play the run on my toes. But when you're first and second down and Hurts is under center and not in shotgun, as a defensive coordinator, they've got you guessing. Is he going to run? And then you got to go with splits. Then you got to go with backfield sets. You got to go with, where are they in the hash? Are they on the right hash, the left hash? Where are they situationally? Are they on their side of the 50? All of that plays a factor in how you're going to play first and second down. But the old way the Eagles played first and second down, shit, they're on their own 35-yard line in shotgun. I'm on my toes. and they're throwing to the numbers. And they're rarely throwing it across the middle of the field. That's why it was so predictable and easy to play. But the Eagles were so good personnel-wise, they didn't have to be exceptional in scheme. Now that they're getting older offensively, they've got to get a little better in scheme. And their coaching matters now because they're not as good as they were 4 years ago. Dude, that unit's getting older. The back's getting older. The quarterback is getting older. It's part of the evolution. And Rays, I'm not a Brady fan, but you have to admit that Brady's quick decision-making and getting the ball out fast really helped his offensive lines. Absolutely. Brady was an anticipation thrower. Dude, the one thing that Brady was exceptional at than Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers, bro, he'll go down, Aaron Rodgers, as one of the top 5 throwers of the football. When he rolled out, he was undefensible. You could not defend that guy in his prime. Open field, throwing downfield, creating passing lanes, the mobility he had, the accuracy he had. Nobody played like that guy. But what made Brady great is processing. Walsh told me many times, the truly great quarterbacks are the guys that can process. Second youngest team in the league. Still everyone is getting older. So let me see here. You got a 35-year-old offensive tackle. Here. Okay. Let's take a look at the offense. Offense. Eagles. You got a 29-year-old running back. You got a 35-year-old offensive lineman. You got a 29-year-old left tackle. Now, tackles can get a little bit older, and your tight end is 31. And those cast of whoever at wideout outside of Devontae, your best old lineman's 36 years old. Brady wasn't afraid to take risk and go. Rodgers underachieved with all that talent and wasn't a good leader. Brian, name me one big-time wide receiver that Aaron Rodgers played with in his 17 years. Devontae Adams? Agreed. Late. By the way, prior to that kid from North Dakota, do you understand that the Green Bay Packers never draft first-round draft choices at wideout? I can't remember prior to that. I don't think in the entire Favre era they drafted a wide receiver. And for the record, too, Brian, in the last 40 years, actually 39 years, 3 quarterbacks have taken 97% of the snaps in Green Bay. Love, Favre, and Rodgers. One thing you could say about Green Bay. Green Bay got the quarterback position right. That's 40 years. That performed the surgery on Crosby has been talking to Steven and Jerry today privately. We don't have anyone who got hurt that they were, let's say this on Crosby. Man. Athleticism fades. Hurts taking the next step to become a better quarterback. Well, here's the one thing, though, that I'm going to keep bringing up here. The Eagles are asking Jalen Hurts to be a completely different quarterback than who he's been. And I think Armando hit it perfectly. Think about it. Okay? Think about it. They've already paid Jalen Hurts for what he did. And as you hear Vic, a lot more moving parts to the offense. Here's Jordan Mailata. By the way, we didn't get to all the guys. Here's what Mailata said. Yeah, we're going to do more, and we're learning a new process. We're trying to do things to change things up, to kind of hide things. We have to be in better shape. Conditioning, I just mentioned. If you're going to run stretch plays, dude, your old line's got to be in tremendous shape. And you've got to have pretty decent depth at that. And you got to have guys who can contribute. Markel Bell's going to have to be in shape. I liked what he said about Jalix Hunt. Now, again, it's helmets and shorts. Let's see when they get in gear. Chris Cooper, he's got core drills. Okay? He's got core drills. See, let's do this. Let's pay some bills here. Our great friends at Morgan & Morgan, the #1 injury law firm in all of America for a reason. That is because they win. That's right. Our favorite firm and our favorite folks, Ultimo and John Morgan, put this firm together over 25 years ago and made sure that they were defending families like yours. Told you about the family here in PA that was initially offered $650,000. They got nearly $30 million in settlement. Or the family in Florida that was initially offered $350,000. They got nearly $12 million in settlement. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sales sent you.
There's a reason Detective Johnson is the gossip king.
Oh, did you hear? Jackie and Tom
are getting a divorce? Mm-hmm. Sad.
Well, I heard that Ashley
had work done on her face? Yeah, oof.
Just like there's a reason Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. Injured? With over $25 billion recovered for our clients, there's a reason to go big.
Bathroom? Okay.
Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Oh, okay.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Shot Takers and the Tastemakers. Welcome to the Viewfinders, the Thrill Seekers, and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We go the extra mile to lend a helping hand.
Thank you.
We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years. And that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you.
gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Stay tuned now for a special edition of Birds 365. John was out there, and he'll give you a hands-on, eyes-on view of what went on here today. We will see you tomorrow, 2 to 6, and we will see you on the flip side.